So we're gonna, it used to be the script off, so now we're gonna have to come up, we'll take votes for, you know.
Yeah.
I said dialogue guide, but. Okay, we're gonna get started here soon, yeah.
Is it on them?
Yeah. Here. Wrapping up the wall. Something.
Yeah.
Belle got a cat, it's a little kitten. So I went over there before here, I've got the flippies over there right now. And it's just a tiny little thing, but I wouldn't touch it, because you know I don't like cats.
Yeah.
But, Libby's holding it, and now she can smell it.
Okay, you guys can't see it, by the way, Alex. We had to order it, like-
She's never done that before.
And we're changing it right now.
Like this one, I'm very nice.
Nice.
So we have to get brighter. We have a new adapter coming in that's gonna make the lights themselves so
Brighter.
much brighter.
That's
I love the
awesome.
black ones.
The black ones. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right, guys, so. Welcome.
Who attended last month's
No.
script off dialogue guide? Okay, how much fun was it? It's pretty fun to watch them kind of get pelted and to see, like, to humanize scripting, right? Because we get so wrapped up, we get so in our head about what it feels like to have the conversation, and really it's not about reading from a script. You guys hear me talk about that all the time. It's about creating some default responses in our heads that allow us to be able to shift and pivot that conversation organically, okay? So we're gonna be patient. Mr. Eric Wilby is wrapping up a call. He's doing his job. We all have jobs to do. It's like we have to sell things or something. So we're gonna give him some time. I do want to encourage you guys, we're going to go as long as the rounds last. Once you're done, they're done. So we'll probably get done early. If we're done early, that's fantastic. You guys take time. Some of you guys have requested some time, so let's take that. It breathes that to be open. And then I want to encourage you guys, we have a smaller crowd today, which is fine. But the whole premise of this is there are objections that you guys are sitting on. If you guys have an objection that you decided to bring to the table, please share them. Okay, this is your open forum. Not only that, I wrote them out. You think it could be done differently, or you have a better, scenario, then throw it out there. It's meant to be done. Now, the coolest part, there can be 3 rounds. We're going to stick with 2 buyers and 1 seller again, because buyers are kind of our biggest thing, right? With our settlement, some of the things that we're handling. So with that said, please remember that at any time you can interject during the scripting. Okay, so at any time while they're sitting there going back and forth, you can go ahead and call it. So I can give you a bell, you can raise it in the hand, in the air, your piece of paper, like we used to when we were in school, we had to raise our hand. However you decide to be loud, all I care is that you're loud. Okay, this is about growing and tuning and, just fine tuning that forth, okay? So afterwards, the office will remain open for a call night. If you guys do not have leads, please let me know. It's like telling me you're bored. Well, you've got these boards for your swings, which means, I come from a military family. When you never got to tell my mom you're bored.
What's all fun? Come on.
Oh, man, that was like, if mom, I got nothing to do, she can't give a toothbrush, and we had baseboards and grout, and we had a big house and a lot of kids, so there was always something to play. Anyways, if you're ever bored, we will always have something for you to do for your business. Do not fear. So, I'm like, I feel like I'm trying to anticipate, but I'm sure people will be, I hear. Okay, any questions, thoughts, concerns? Oh, yeah, like, quiet, I'm not comfortable. What are you doing? Okay, you run the Ramsey team. You run it. All right, you're blue. Okay, what are you guys doing?
Listings covering our market.
Okay, Thursday, I would like to see you here. We're gonna have mastermind around some seats, okay? But, okay, so they're sitting. Okay, how's that expectation conversation about your clients? What do you think?
Like looking at average based on market, but it depends. Some of them we have really struggling comps. So it sounds a little bit, but Others, sellers are still being like,
Who's
we're gonna
interested in one?
build for higher than we are. So it's getting them to be more agreeable to where we're.
And more realistic
Yeah.
to where the market's sitting, right?
Right, and then pretty much doing price reduction.
Okay. So maybe if we have time, a little bonus round is up. And we'll talk about
It's always under $100.
seller.
300.
It's probably, when you guys hear me talk about like a core chain point and listing, what is it?
Times the
Price, promotion,
Marketing.
marketing, or marketing,
And they're also
Price,
for
marketing.
location.
there's 2 bills, just electric bills.
Way to go, Jason. Okay, my fifth one,
Go for it, it's in the contract. Payments, right?
nothing like a seller to stop the sale of their own home.
At least payments. Right?
All right, well, looks like Mr. Wilkins coming on here. Okay, we'll make sure I'll breaks. All right, come up here, boys, while I'm having a bit difficulty. Okay. So moving forward, this might be one of the last times we see Alex. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, like now we know our opponents have met maybe a few times. I do want to let you guys know for both market centers, we're gonna start opening up this week to some of the converters in our office that are actually practicing real estate as well. Eric is gonna be a face that we are going to see much more regularly. Okay, so get used to him in a sharp suit, okay, and as well as your thing or dialogue, lobby, whatever we want to call, okay? And Alex is going to continue to run all the things on the back end like he does for us. So today, help them. If you have something that you're dealing with, each one of you I know is working marketing. They all work on something. So bring them up. So this time, 3 rounds, 2 buyers, 1 seller again. Okay, we'll do the same thing, interject in the middle. We'll have a bonus round to probably get done early, and we're gonna talk about the unreasonable seller. Markets listening, sitting there.
Yeah, you mind?
Yeah, no,
Right.
so you.
You mind if I expand on that whole
Yep.
marketing wording from earlier? So.
Yeah.
All right, so it was kind of funny. We were just stripped off just down Boston, right? Sounds like battle and everything like that. And yet, one thing I want to really clarify is that with everything that happened with the NAR settlement, what was really one of the issues that we really bring into light? That word script implies you're being taught to say a certain thing, right? Like you go, these are the 15 words that should come out of your mouth if somebody says X. And what we want to make sure that we express and that we're very on purpose about good understanding is that our job is to teach you how to have a conversation, right? Have a dialogue, because I don't feel this way, but the NAR settlement did make it clear, like, hey, you guys are teaching them a script, you guys meaning all big box companies, including Keller Williams, right, big box brokerages, are teaching them that they should say this, and that included a set commission. Well, if you've been with this company, you know that that's not true. For very on purpose to be like, there is no set commission, right? And so what we really want to make sure that you guys leave with is that if you ever, Rachel's like, hey, we can't call it a script off, it's only because, it's gotta be careful with settlement. And yet, right, really at the end of the day, we really need to teach you guys how to have a dialogue, have a conversation, be able to ask better questions so that you can then educate that. Because at the end of the day, one of the best things that I've heard this year came from Alex Hormozy, right? And he goes, the best way to know if somebody has learned something is there any change in their behavior. Somebody hears something and then never applies it, never uses it, never changes that habit in the morning, doesn't do anything with that information. Did they really learn, right? And so when a seller I'm dealing with this right now with one of my listings, like so we can circle back to this in more detail a little bit later. But when that seller, right, they're not coming to me and mad at me anymore. You have chosen not to change your behavior. So you're wondering why I haven't sold, because you haven't learned to listen to me. I can tell you have changed your behavior, which is you haven't taken my staging advice, you haven't said, hey, let's go ahead and do this, or drop the price, or whatever that may be. And so one of the frustrations we're going to experience as agents in the coming market are these sitting listings all over, right? This is probably makes up 25 to 30% of the topics that come across the internet on Arizona real estate agent forum, lab codes and everything like that is, hey, what do I do if this isn't selling? And you go, well, Gary taught us 80% of the reason a home sells is price or condition, right? So you better figure out how to make that more pretty than it currently is, if people don't think it is in its current format, if it's not selling or you don't have the price right. And so, what happens is, I've been there before over my years. Do I just feel that way or do I know that to be true? And if you lack the confidence to know that to be true when you walk into that appointment and be able to point and show them and tell them what that looks like. And then additionally, make it very simple. Hey, like step one, get your shit out. Step two, let me bring in a staging company, right? Let them professionally make this look like something somebody wants. Step three, let's adjust the price just enough to refresh it on the market. And step four, let's get it sold, right? If the seller doesn't understand it in the simple steps like that, they're gonna go back and sit there and they're gonna overcomplicate it the second you walk out the door. So you have to get it down to a certain point of what is step one, step two, step three. You take those 3 steps, I'm gonna be able to go get it sold because we've already learned what the market responded to what we did. That makes sense, right? So that's a conversation. It's not a one-liner, is because that one line doesn't work if you got this beautifully remodeled home and you're like, I can't make it any better, right? But it's still not selling. Now I have to figure out how to have a price conversation, right? And so, so I just wanted to bring you guys up to speed because that, number one, from the settlement standpoint, but number two, the importance of why that dialogue and conversation is really important. And to helping our sellers is, yeah, a lot of sitting listing though, right? Like the difference between active homes, days on market, and sold homes is over 20 days difference. 85 to 87 days for that homes that are currently active versus 65 days for the homes that are sold, right? So where that 20-day difference is, yeah, like it doesn't look good or it's really overpriced, right? Okay, that's everything.
All right, perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna start off, each one of you has your name, their color code coordinated. Red is the only buyer, or I mean color, the other one's buyer. So I'm gonna start off with. And you guys can decide who's buyer's agent and who's buyer. Okay, so we're gonna start off with my mom stole my credit card when I was a kid and I have no credit. Or shitty credit, one of them.
I mean, Eric, you're nailing the fire ones with the LO, so.
That's typically something we probably hear more.
Yeah.
From people saying, right, as an agent, what should be your own response?
Talk about it.
Talk about that. Right?
There's the script.
It literally should be that easy. So, saying again, my mom stole my credit card.
Or my credit when I was a kid, so I have crummy credit because she ruined it.
Perfect. So my response would be, you know what, I hear from a ton of people that their credit sucks. But we're better off dealing with what it really is versus what we think it is. It costs you nothing to get pre-qualified. Come in, do an application. We will walk you through the steps of what it takes to become a home buyer, whether that's today, whether that's tomorrow, whether it's a year, 2 years. Let's get you started so that if it's not today, you will know when you're capable of buying. But there's all sorts of ways to do it. So Mom stole their state, you can go and dispute. You can create new credit. New credit is one of the best things to make your FICO scores go up. Because new credit is something new and it's good. How do you guys get new? $500 prepaid credit cards. Key, you want them to report to all 3 credit bureaus. We have a list of them that you go to. They go and open up 2 or 3 of those. You can take someone from a 0 FICO score to a 700 FICO score overnight. You can also go to other siblings or friends or grandparents and become a co-signer on their credit card. You can also get their credit. So now do you guys know what the benefit is to being on like a sibling's card or a parent's card that has longevity? It's not new credit. It shows all 5 years credit or 10 years or 20 or however long.
That makes sense. You guys, what you just said, right? Like your parents have that credit card they've had since you were born, right? And then they add you on as an authorized signer, right? They don't have to actually give you a physical card. They just add you to the account.
Add you on.
I think it's really hard to get off of those stuff. That's the way that get out. You
As long as they make the payments.
Yeah, but you know, if you go to the facility or something like that, you know. If
What do you mean, how to get off of it?
they won't take your name off of the.
They'll add you on.
They'll add you
and
on.
to take
and
you off after
you're-
the fact.
You're on there, they won't let you come off.
Why not let you- Yeah, I
Yeah,
got my son for a year
Yeah, I could.
for Capital One, and then they removed it right off last month.
They wouldn't take me out.
I didn't give him a card, did exactly
Was
that,
it
didn't
the
give him a
credit
card.
card?
you know. Yeah, two of my long credit cards that with Capital One had for 12 years or something like that. I added them and then, but they were, I was said to take them off, last month.
They should have added it.
So there's a difference of if you put them on where they're given their names, their socials, or pulling their credit, and it's theirs.
Yeah.
And so that you might have gone the bigger, better route,
Mhm.
but then they punish you if you just remove it. It's kind of like having a commercial lease, and you're trying to sublease it to somebody else, so they ever let the first person on. No, because they want to keep everybody.
So great point, too. This is why this is great conversations, right? Because there is going to be a different authorized signer is what you're looking to do. If you add them as an authorized signer, it will reflect on the authorized, the person that just got authorized credit. But it's not like, hey, you joined, we did this now, so, yeah.
There's also programs where you can use alternative rent. So like with an FHA, let's show 12 months of rent, show 12 months of electrical, throw 12 months of water. All those things can be used to create outside credit. So let's talk to the customer. Let's just get you, let's see what we're working with. And then we can direct you from there. 'Cause whether it's today, tomorrow, or 10 years from now, you should be at home. So let's get you started.
So did you guys pick that up? Okay. So who has green?
Me,
What do you got there?
I got my mother-in-law as to move in.
So I need enough space, right?
Yeah.
Oh, this one's awful.
I shouldn't take this one because it's my mother. That'd be a reason. I wouldn't.
But the script to that is, don't.
Okay,
No, no.
Just kidding.
So, the only thing I can think is, does anyone have an evil mother-in-law?
I have.
That's a strong word, but I wouldn't want her with me.
My mother-in-law is pure evil. Like, you're like, we haven't spoken to her in 13 years.
Oh,
That would be.
Like your wife hasn't either?
None of us.
Oh, wow.
13 years ago, my mother-in-law tried to kill herself in front of my daughter.
Oh, no.
Which to me is pure, you know, funny enough to go to it, I was a little late today because, we had to put down one of the family dogs today.
Oh, sorry.
We got The hardest part for me was watching it. The kids had never been through it. We've had this dog for 15 years. And it was just time, well, my mother-in-law cared more about her animals than she did about her own kids, and she lost her dog. It just happened to be on a trip where my wife and daughter were going to visit. And so after her dog died, she started drinking, taking pain pills, sleeping pills, and she just went psychotic. And anyway, thankfully, I always thought she was even before then, but then finally my wife agreed. So
Validated.
yeah. So not to get off on more tangent, but to make it funny, she was then convinced that I worked for the federal government. So I called the police on her, I had the police come and get her and put her in the boat until she sobered up. And she, for some reason, believes I worked for the federal government and the CIA, and then I sent my friends there, and they, you know, they put an IV in her to sober her up. She thinks I was pumping toxins in her. Yeah, it's a whole. So, but
So,
even with all that negative history, here's what I would say. I would say, look, for you and your marriage, divorces already are 50%, like the average people who get married. You need to be very specific. You need to find a house that has a mother-in-law's separate quarters. Right, I care about you, I care because you want to build relationships and trust with these people. In fact, you guys know what, almost, it's like an 80% chance that you're gonna get a divorce if you do one thing. Do you know what that is? Having your parents who need to be taken care of. Moving it brings a stress level to the house that almost always leads to divorce. So let's put them in something where you have a separation, where you can put them out there. So let's make sure that we get you qualified, or that we get you for an ADU, or we put something in. Because otherwise, I don't feel like I'm really your friend and I'm doing you a service. Which I think you'll find sometimes the takeaway sale is the best, because how many salespeople who work on commission walk away from somebody saying, I need a bigger home? No. So all you do is you transfer it to, I care about you, I care about your family. Now you build that deeper relationship. And at least with a separate quarter, you stand a chance of it. Still not a guarantee, like still a high probability for divorce. Which means you can never
More
listen.
separation with your property.
There you go, so I get 2 deals now.
Yeah.
Okay, it's getting better all the time.
Did you have a better one? That's a tough one. At least for me, because
No, it really isn't a better situation. See, on that, where my brain goes, what I want to do right back to Lisa, it goes, so my mother-in-law needs to move in with me, and I go, great, can you tell me a little bit more about that? Like, what has happened that's now the case, right? We can all assume, hey, well, she's gotten older, the house she's in is too big, so well, whatever, I'm speaking, right? My wife wants, her mom to be right here, right? Because all having these stocks are great. By the way, I didn't know that 80%, but it doesn't surprise me at all. And but at the same time, hey, help me understand a little bit more. Before you walked in, a whole bunch of events occurred that now you need your mother-in-law to move in with you. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Right. And again, I stress that from a dialogue standpoint. Even if you end up to just share exactly what Eric did, find out more, because where a lot of rapport and trust is built is when you get to let them do the talking. So. Yeah.
And then in that, you might find that you have another listing or two or something in that.
Yeah.
because There's reason for that.
Courtney's great about that. She's always said, like, one of her clients is like, yeah, we need to sell ours, we need to sell theirs, we need to go buy a bigger one, that fits all of us, and again, completely agree with Eric. And at the same time, people have different visions for things, like through that, they may already, by you asking questions, they may already be like, I need a guest house. And you're like, perfect. Like, I'm not trying to find you a 4-3 and you're gonna put her in the, downstairs one to the bathroom, whatever, you're like, I need to find you a guest house. So, but it'll allow you to know what they haven't thought about. And this is the way I do it. If I ask them questions and then finally, like, I feel like I've hit a wall, and I'm like, great. Now, have you thought about this? Have you thought about the stresses it may add? Have you thought about it? And guess what? All those same things, it's taking what Eric has said, but it informs the question. Hey, did you know? Hey, have you taken this into consideration? And there's still questions, and lets them go, no, I didn't, it's funny you brought that up, da, 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 da. So whatever gets them talking is the fastest way, because one thing, I always share this when it comes to script classes. If I did last time, I apologize, but the best meetings, the people that go, they're telling me this is the best meeting I've ever had. They want to give me a hug, right? As a matter of fact, Rachel, right, you told me that this happened to you as well, where you're like, I didn't say anything. All I did was ask questions, right? And they go, they were like, I need a hug. They're like in tears. And you're like, that was weird, right? And it was all because they did all the talking. I had a meeting once where I got challenged by my coach, and all I did was, he goes, see how many questions you can ask in the hour you have with them. And so I was like, and it was so funny, and this was Zoom days, right? And so this person I'm doing that with, and I have a list of questions in front of me, right? And I end up asking 26 questions in an hour, because I was tallied, right? So I was sitting there really on purpose, like, because my coach set this out. So I'm literally just like reading the question verbatim, right? Granted, I can deliver a question really well. They don't know I'm reading it off of paper, but I'm like, oh, okay, here's question 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? I'm tallying how many of these did I ask? And that person was like, before I realized that, I like came to the fact, and I'm like, they were like choked up. They're like, that was the best meeting I've ever had. And I was like, that was the best meeting you've ever had? Yeah, and so for me, you're gonna notice that, like, I wanna pivot a lot of my things in my mindset into, like, how can I put that into a question to get them talking, because they then feel listened to, so.
Okay, perfect. Kevin.
I have too much debt, cannot afford it.
Eric, I got too much debt, there's no way I'm gonna buy this house, I can't even already handle what I have on my plate.
So I'm gonna ask you a question before I go into it. You a current homeowner? Or are you a first-time homebuyer?
I don't know if it says anything else on there, but.
First time home buyer, we'll go with that.
So again, it's the same as the credit, previous one. Look, you never know how much you can qualify for until you actually apply. Our job is to show you what you can get to. Then you have to decide, am I willing to buy at that price? Or can I afford that price? Because I might tell you can afford more than you feel comfortable with. And then we need to have a sit-down budget discussion, like we should do like a family budget. Let's sit down and talk about where your finances are, where they're at today. Now, if it's really bad, I'm gonna send you to a friend of mine. Does everyone know that right now you can negotiate terms of credit card debt never before? They are settling, in fact, there's a new law that was passed, they have no choice So you go, in fact, go back to step. Does anyone know what the average interest rate on a credit card is today? 27%. They are never going to get, if you have a $50,000 in credit card debt, you're right, you're not today. But we'll get you in place, we'll set you up on a payment plan. There's better ways of doing a chapter 13 now, where a year from now, we can get you in a house. So the great thing about us and our team, we're not with you today, we're with you for life. We're gonna show you what it takes to get into a home. We're gonna show you how to do it with a mulcher's hand every step of the way. But that's the worst case scenario. The best case scenario is you qualify today. May not be your dream house, but a house or a condo or a duplex is better than renting. Building equity is always the thing, so there's a way to get you there. If you want to do it, it might be having a friend or family member co-sign it. It might even be you have access to funds. Does everybody here know how to do it in that family trust to qualify immediately? Has ever heard of that? Okay. So if you open up a family trust, I have all the paperwork, doesn't cost them a dime. They go and they set up their bank account. They do one distribution. And whatever amount of money they put into the bank, you divide it by 38 payments. I can count after one distribution as if it's gonna be there to help qualify for the loan. It's very, very easy. So you might have mom and dad, I'm not willing to co-sign, but I would throw $200,000 into this account that's gonna show whatever 200 divided by 38 is. And the day after the loan funds, shut down the trust, pull your money back, and it's worth it. And this is legal. Freddie Mac only. Fannie Mae just changed the rules last year. Freddie Mac can do that today. So right now, what are you paying in rent?
2,300.
2,300. So you could roughly buy, a $250,000 townhouse or condo for that same price. And then by the time you're ready to sell, you take a year to clean up, get rid of all your debt. And now you're ready to buy your $400,000 house, where your 250 is now worth 250, partially worth $3. Let's get you in, let's get you started something.
On that family trust, I just did about 200,000, right? Your parents are like, all right, I got 200K laying ground, but I can put it in family trust, right? Give or take that $6,500. Yep, right? So that, who was all in that trust, the parents, and then said, right?
So as long as the individual's on there somewhere.
Yeah, okay. And those 38 payments and all be credited to that, even if there's 14 in the trust.
Well, you have to have, the trust has to say it's going to give that individual $6,500. And then you do one distribution.
Of that 65.
One $6,500. Now, what does she do or he do with the $6,500? Doesn't matter. They get it, they give it right back to mom and dad. The fact that they gave it to them, now they qualify. That's now $6,500 in income they can use today.
James,
So you mentioned you go through a process with your team and they negotiate the interest rate with the credit card company?
So no, not my team. I have a place I refer them to. That's a law firm that contacts all of their things and stops their interest today. And lets them know they're gonna get X amount of dollars over the next year, and that's all they get.
So what does that do to their credit cards? And a year from now, they get the credit card back?
No, they're walking away. It's not quite as harmful as a chapter 13 on their credit, but it's simple.
So it is kind of in the form of a kind of a bankruptcy, so.
It's a settlement. Which, by the way, if you want to get paid on that, you can send it to the company. They'll pay you a 1% of your customers. Doesn't require a license.
Does it do anything with their credit?
No, because as soon as they're notified, they're not allowed to count anything that's late. They'll have a settled on there, which will affect them a little bit, but nowhere near as bad as recently, or a collection. You stop it before it's bad. But the interest rate goes to zero. They're not gonna be able to charge another time.
So a year from now, they'll be able to get a loan, apply for other credit.
Provided they don't mess anything else up. And they can start applying for new credit immediately.
Same thing.
Yeah, But technically, because you haven't done any settlement yet, your credit probably still looks good. Probably get credit card offers with that. Set up the new credit. Get rid of the old.
Just watch
the old.
That is on the payment plan, you have to pay back within 12 months or whatever.
But the payment will be far cheaper than what you're currently paying at minimum.
Oh,
Yeah, there's no interest.
that's awesome.
So we do that, probably on average, I send a customer a week right now to this law firm. And it's a new federal law, and they created it because there's no real usury laws on credit cards. That's just what allows them to charge 27%. And they charge the 27%, why? Because they know they're gonna have X amount of defaults, and they gotta get all the interest from the people who do pay to cover the people who are lost.
Yeah.
That's why they do it, and because it's an unsecured lender. That's how they justify it. Yeah, they're, who's the worst person that most people think they're in the world to owe money to? Who's the one entity that scares the?
IRS.
What does the IRS charge in interest?
I think we are, so I don't know.
They charge 8. They're 8%. And they'll also settle plans, and they'll also settle for less.
Yeah.
So if you're a customer, why would you be more afraid of the IRS than you are of credit card? You can do the exact same thing with the credit cards as you do with the IRS. 27% is way too high, and that's just the average. There's some people that are 32% on credit cards. So if it's really, really bad, let's do a reset and let's get you in a much better position for down the road. Because if you still stay making your payments at a 27% interest, and you're doing the minimum payment, I hate to break it to you, you will never be out of it. You are, for all intents and purposes, an indentured servant.
We also, a lot of people don't have their, over the past 2 years. It's, yeah.
Do you guys know what the national debt is of credit card right now in our nation? It's over $1 trillion. $1 trillion in credit card.
What's the average household debt right now? Do you know?
I don't know that.
I'm just curious.
60,000.
All right, King, you got a green one?
I'm waiting until interest drops.
We're still hearing it.
This is my favorite one.
Yeah, these are great for lenders, so. Yeah.
So let's walk through what happens to rates. Do you know anybody who bought a house in 2020, 2021, or the first half of 2022? How easy was it for them to buy a house? Oh, it was incredible. Yeah, that was hard. Because there was 20 to 30 hours sight unseen on any property that was valued anywhere near the fact. So for this one, we're gonna break down calculators and we're gonna use recent forward.
You got markers? Well, I can do that. Silver.
So 2020, 2021, and 2022, we averaged selling 12,000 homes a month. You know what the average is in Arizona? It's 8,000. What are we selling right now? So there's 1,000 buyers just like you every month since June of 2022. So 2022, June to 2023, you got 12 months. And you've got actually another 12 months here coming up. So you got 24,000 people that have signed sign-ups. How many houses available for sale in the market right now in all of Arizona? 18,000. And we still have the normal 7,000. So we are 8,000 houses short of inventory when everybody decides to jump in the market all at once. So let's walk through what happened in 2020 during this time. In 2020, if the house was listed for $500,000, could you buy it for $500,000? How high over asking did you have to go to win?
550. Yeah.
So I'm gonna make it, go in the middle, I heard 515, we're gonna say 10. So you're gonna pay $50,000 over asking price. Is that house going to appraise?
No.
No. You're gonna have to pay $50,000 more. Could you get seller concessions back then? No. So what would you say is an easy seller concession today? It's 3% reasonable? And we got $15,000.
You also couldn't negotiate repairs.
What do you think their deferred maintenance was on an average out there during that time? So I think it was that low. Just one AC unit being out is $7,000. I would argue it's about 5% deferred maintenance between flooring, new paint, new AC, new roof, like not on every house, but as an average, right? There's always the golden ones. The problem is with the one that was just perfect, you paid probably the 15% over, not the 10. So
I would say right now, like, and the reason I give you that number is just on the agent side, right? Even now, when we can get what we want, like, I mean, the average bids are, what are you guys getting? Are you getting more than 7,000 on average
No.
right now?
Maybe run away from the house.
But yeah, but today sellers know they have to make their house look nicer.
No, they don't.
No,
No, so just-
that's why we need a seller expectation.
Yeah,
No, they don't.
no,
They-
that every two, for every one good home, there's two bad ones that are really bad. Yeah, but yeah,
If the neighbor has it up for 500, they want to go up for 500. If it's smaller, doesn't have a pool.
Yeah.
It's floor, it's paint, it's roof.
but for illustrative purposes, back to Eric's point.
So who's got it? Do you guys all have mortgage calculators to figure out? If not, you should definitely get one. And there's an app you can get, one I prefer to use. It's called Qualifier, so you could do math. So we're gonna compare 2020 rate was what? 3%. What is it today? Roughly 7. So we're gonna take 500,000. 30-year term, 3% interest. Your payment would have been $2,108.02. Just principal and interest, not taxes and insurance, but tax and insurance don't change. One thing that changes is principal and interest, right? All right, so now we're gonna take the same 500,000, 30-year term, 7% interest. 3,326.51. Savings of 1218.49. So if I came to you today and said, I'm gonna charge you the same $90,000 that you wasted when you bought the house, which is, you're never gonna get that money back, it's gone, right? You waste 90,000, you pay overprice, you have to pay for the repairs, you didn't get any sort of concessions, that 90,000 is gone. So when's your break even time? 90,000 divided by 1218.49, so your break even is 73.86 months. Which is 6.16 years. What's the likelihood you're gonna be in that house in 6 years? Well, what's the likelihood that rates don't come down in the next 6 years? And if you are a first-time home buyer, you're waiting for rates to come down. As soon as this market happens, if you don't have 50,000 over market, you're not a buyer anymore. So the best thing to do is buy when rates are high. And when they drop, refinance. So now you're not competing on that $50,000.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, what was the 15 of the 25,000 again?
This would be seller concessions. And this is deferred maintenance. And over asking.
You could also ask for money off rather than concessions. This is at 500, you could offer 45.
Sure, that's a whole other piece you should put in there as well, right?
Yeah.
You're way better off buying a house. Do you guys know what the average time a person actually keeps a mortgage for is? It's different in real estate, how often they sell. How long does the average person keep a mortgage?
2 years.
How much?
2 years.
A little bit, about 2.5. Are you ever gonna get your money back? No. If I was your financial advisor and I came to you and said, invest $90,000. And in 6.16 years, I will give you your $90,000 back. You didn't make an ounce of interest. Will you hire me as your financial advisor? No, you should throw me out the friggin' door. Because I'm a what?
Idiot.
I'm an idiot. The worst time to sell a house was 2020, 21, and the first half of 2022. You are way better off selling a house today. As long as they can afford the difference. Which, if you were gonna pay this out of pocket, yeah. There has never been a better time for first-time homebuyers. In fact, and to take it up a step, if you really want to get crazy, what program have I been telling everybody about that's available right now?
Make a wish.
There's the WISH program. What's even better than WISH?
MDPA one?
MDPA. You can get an additional $50,000 grant for first-time homebuyers. Now the numbers get astronomical, outrageous.
Yeah.
Couldn't get that during those other years.
No, there's my question. I don't have the money to put down.
Mhm. That's what I'm learning.
Nobody think that one did?
Well, let's go back before you hit that. From the agent standpoint, what's the objection handler to this, Alex?
Oh, okay, I'll be happy to answer that. Actually, I was waiting, I didn't want to interrupt. If you haven't pulled out your phone and taken a picture of this, because if you can't do what Eric just did, you should go, great, I'm gonna do this every night for the next 15 nights so I can literally write this down.
I swear, you don't even have to be good. I've used from the
Yeah.
last one.
So here's the thing, the agent side of this is also being able to do this. You do not need to be an LO to be able to do this. Okay, some of you know this, not all of you know this, right? I was a loan officer for 3 to 4 years before being a real estate agent. One of the things that was always so funny, it was that experience that allowed me to go into a buyer's consultation and people leave feeling like they're like, I completely understand what's going on, right? Because there was a lot of things, because really at the end of the day, a buyer's consultation is what can you qualify for? Because the second they know what they can buy, all of you have experienced it. I don't like this being true. All of you experienced it. Once they get the pre-qual from the lender, what do they want to do? Show look at homes. You just turn into a showing agent, right? When you can have this kind of conversation as an agent with your clients, you are levels ahead. If any one of you could do it, you'd be beating everybody else in the room. And I did beat everybody else in the room every single time because this is the kind of stuff that I have a conversation with. This is how your payment can be affected. I think one of the biggest mistakes is that we and each other for professions don't learn the other side. Right? What I really enjoyed about the script off, like Eric will outstrip me if I'm being brutally honest, but there are things on my side that he knows his place and I know my place. And if it wasn't for those 4 years of being LO, like I'd be like, actually, can you just talk about it? My buyer's consultation would be like, will you just talk about it? The difference is when you can do this, you can go, hey. By the way, the part that I really enjoyed, that he goes, oh, well, my script requires me to write it down. If you don't show up with blank pieces of paper or remarkable to walk them and visually show some of the things that they need to do or they're going to experience, you are messing up big time. Okay, like I get, we need to have have an ability to have a great conversation over the phone to set the appointment. Really, when I think script off, I'm thinking like, I need to set the appointment. When I get there in person, I want to be able to show them on a piece of paper, like, this is why, right? Hey, the average days on market are this, for meeting with the seller. Hey, if you do this, right? Because the question's going to come up again and I'm probably going to turn to Eric. And it's going to be very similar about like, hey, what if I want to sell my property, but I can't, I don't want to lose my rate.
Can you explain what you did the difference of the interest rate and the difference in but
It's $1,200.
Right
That
here.
was to what's my break even. So if I were to come to you today as a loan officer and say, I will take $90,000 from you to buy your rate from 7 to 3, would you give it to me? If that should be the answer, no. Because again, translated to, I always like to bring in other professions. If I was your financial advisor and I asked you for $90,000 for 6 years, and in 6 years, I'm going to give you your $90,000 back. What's your answer?
Oh, God.
Said differently, like, raise your hand if okay, so like Ben, I know you just got into the business, right? But almost everybody else here was part of 2021, 22, right? No. Okay, and who was? 2021, 22, okay? In other words, can we go back and realize, like everybody, James, you said it, right? How much debt did people rack up? You said it, right, James? Like, how much debt got racked up this last 1.5 to 2 years, right? Like everybody got punched in the face and like reality, we went back to a normal market and right, people started using their credit cards again. Can we go back to some of the offers we wrote, Courtney? And you go, my clients not only put down a down payment and 50, 75, I think our highest client went 100 plus over asking, right? So in that same client, yeah, did they get a right? And they still ended up selling 2 years later. They'll never technically see. Now, even if they did sell the property and still got their profit and got their money back, like good for them. But for the people that are like, well, I want to stay in and I care about the interest rate. This is Eric's point. This is what you guys need to understand, right? They, and again, in this 50,000 over asking, they had to pay cash out of pocket. If you have that money in the bank account right now, right? You're like, I got 50. I don't need to worry about getting 15,000 in concessions because I'm going to pay for them out of pocket, right? Deferred maintenance. I'm going to go into the house and I'm going to remodel it, right? Like they have that sitting in the bank. How many people today wish that extra $100,000 was sitting in their bank account instead of they put it into their house.
So that's the thing, it's better to keep a higher fee right now instead of putting a bunch of money down to pay down the rate. Because in that way, once rates do go down, you still have this money hopefully.
Yeah, and let me play devil's advocate, unless, and by the way, this unless is, we're gonna work through this. Unless they reach 6.16 years and never refinance and rates never go down. And then at which point it starts costing them $1,200 on the other side of this, right, each month.
But this is just the E, if you wanna dive deeper, then you go, what, right now, if you put your money in a CD, what return you get? 5? Yeah. So you, that 90,000. 5%, how long a time do you wanna put it for? 5, 6 years?
So 6 point, let's put it into the 6.
Because everyone, so if you don't have it, qualifier plus is an app you get on your phone, I think it's $20. So now you type in, you go 90,000, loan amount, 5% interest. We're gonna go 6.16 term, shift future value. This 90,000 over that same 5 years becomes $122,384.75.
Yeah.
Because when you put it in your house, you're not making anything. You put somewhere, make money.
And also the first couple of years, I mean, it's interest, right? The most part of it, so you're just throwing it out.
Real estate is a fantastic asset, not to be confused, but that real estate is still a great asset whether you put that 90,000 into it or not, right? Your home doesn't appreciate more because you put 90,000 into it, with the exception of anything that was a remodel, right? But that increase either way. You go, that 90,000, I wouldn't have done it in today's world, and you actually have it in your bank account, and you go and you invest it, and you can turn it into that instead.
I was trying to think of the structure I've been using on this, because this dives so much deeper than what I do with the open house person that comes in front of me, with that quick person that starts a conversation outside of getting the appointment. And what I had been doing was, and I'll just use raw math. Let's say the house is $500,000, and right now you're paying 7% that equals X. But when that interest rate drops, and all of those people right there come into the market, the house is gonna go up in price. So now at this point, you can refinance whatever that number is. But you also have the equity of whatever the difference is between those two houses. So if it goes, let's say, just use these maths to $550 or $50,000, so it costs you $9,000 to do the whole refinance. It costs you in what you paid a little extra and what you paid to actually refinance, because that costs money, right? So now when you have, you've made $40,000 above waiting for the interest rates to drop. And that's my quick brush over on that. Because to maintain somebody's attention for that outside of an appointment would be difficult, very important during the appointment. What do you think about that?
Another quick math for you is so people are payment buyers, not price buyers. Every 0.5% of interest equates to 5% buying power. So if rates drop from 7 to 3, you can say, look, you're gonna pay 40% more for that same house. Every 0.5% of interest is 5% buying power.
They need to be able to qualify for the $3,000.
They do. But if they had that 90,000 to put into it, what's 90,000 divided by 38? That's income that they can now use to qualify.
There lies the problem, because most people can't qualify for that $3,000 payment, but they could qualify for the $2,000 payment. Back, in 2020.
Yes, but that's true with all stripping. When it comes to a qualification issue, then you and I know how bold this sounds. Next.
Of course. If they can afford the $2,000 payment, then I'm opening the door.
Yeah.
But there's still, can you buy a house at the $2,000 payment? Not the house of your dreams.
Right.
But we can get you something.
Right.
We got this sweet little old lady named Tammy Smiley at a house like 3 or 4 months ago. 63 years old, been disabled since she was 30. Never owned a home in her life. We put her on the WITCH program. We found her a 450 square foot, like 1-bedroom condo for $163,000. Right? Still something is better than nothing. The reason she was looking to buy, she's been in the same apartment for 15 years. They just raised the rent again and she can't afford the new rent. Right, so you may not be able to get the house of your dreams, but how many of you ever on your first home got the house of your dreams?
No.
If you were to ask my wife, she still doesn't have the house. Right? But you start somewhere. And actually, like the very first house I bought was at 1901 East University in Mason. It was a 3-bed, 2.5-bedroom townhouse that I bought for $53,000. And I couldn't believe it when it got to 106. And I dumped that thing as fast as I could because I thought these people were idiots for giving me 106. You guys know what those are selling for today? They're $300,000 for a stinking townhouse. And like, you had to worry about when you parked there. Like, I moved in for one day, turned around, and I rented it to my girlfriend and my receptionist. I was like, I'm not living here. I'll go home. My parents can probably live here. 300,000. Best thing to know on Charleston.
Yeah, and Eric, maybe you can help with wording on this a little bit better, but also don't forget with those individuals, because you know, Michael, I thought maybe the direction you were headed in, but in this situation, especially first-time home buyers, what's one of the things that they're probably going to run into more times than not is going to be mortgage insurance, right? It builds into their payment. And if, number one, if it doesn't change, then you've been sitting around waiting for nothing to change, right? Like you're like, so this, you go, number one, you buy today, right? If you go, I'm not gonna buy because I'm gonna wait for things to change, and they never change, then you put yourself in a bad position not getting into real estate, right? You're paying 100% interest to that landlord, right? Okay, number two, you get into it, rates go up. Then you're gonna feel good come that time, okay? Number three, rates go down, and now we get to leverage what Eric taught here, and Michael was getting at, right? Hey, all that pent up buyers, all of a sudden market explodes, and your neighbor down the street with your model now all of a sudden sold it for 50,000 more, 75,000 more. You now are going to be benefiting from that increase in equity here, because now you get to call the bank, and the bank's going to be very happy to refi you, right? And what else? You're now, your loan to value, right? Your home went up to, and again, conservatively, right? Because we're talking explosion happens, 6 months later max, there's gonna be plenty of comparables of this 550 for you, for your house, right? Well, you are now gonna be at a loan to value that would not only allow, you know, you're gonna be able to refi to lower your rate, you're also gonna be able to remove that mortgage insurance payment as well. You wait for that to happen, and let's just pretend, because this craziness, right? The reality is, hey, if you're a first-time home buyer, you're like, I just have my 5% down, my 3.5% down, right? But let's just pretend things go crazy, the rate 3%, and you can get into it, only putting down 3.5%, 5%. You caught it at the right time. You bought that one that was like, I'll take the first-time home buyer, you know. Like I've been there, I've gotten people in the homes that you're like, we bought it, you know, we beat out 5 other cash offers. Let's say they just get lucky enough to do that. They're gonna have that mortgage insurance until they can get that off, right? And the chances are it's gonna be a lot harder because the bank's probably not gonna refi them only to remove mortgage insurance at that, okay? Because they already got the 3%, so there's no refi for a better rate at that point, you know, into the future, right? So that is one of the other things. So there's like, as you guys are hearing, like, there's multiple reasons why it makes more sense to buy a home today as a first-time home buyer instead of waiting, minus the ability to qualify for your dream home. Then you go, okay, but could you eventually get to your dream home if you start playing Monopoly? Buy the little green house, eventually we'll get to the hotel.
100%. So James's question, he had to step away, was I can't afford it. Oh, I can't afford the down payment. You know, what am I gonna do?
Everyone got a picture of this? Can I erase it?
Did everybody get with what Alex also wrote up there?
So
Okay.
3 to 7% payments, that's just principal and interest, right?
That's just principal and interest. There we go. All right, so can't afford a down payment, is what we were talking about.
Yeah,
Okay, so right now, if you're not gonna buy a house, are you gonna rent one?
oh, yeah,
Okay, when you rent. In today's market, because we still have a shortage. The first rent, last rent, let's just say that's 3,000. And what's your security deposit today?
I mean, it's usually 1 month's rent.
1 month's rent, so another 3,000. So you need $9,000 to rent.
No, they can't.
They can't.
Yeah,
charge
we
for-
can't get first and last month's rent anymore.
They can only do 1.5, I thought.
Yeah, of the
base rent.
whole,
1.5, so we
of the whole
take
thing.
7,500 or 1,500 off, so it's $7,500.
Okay,
Is
Yeah.
that fair?
yeah, but they can't charge cleaning fees.
Oh, yeah, they can charge a
fees.
lot of other fees.
Yeah, there's
Okay,
a,
so what's the number?
let's throw in another
500 for
1,000.
cleaning,
Yeah, let's throw
500
another
for that.
1,000. in there.
Yeah, it's another 1,000 right after.
All right, so it's $8,500 to get you the house today, to rent.
Correct.
If we take that same $8,500. Depending on which program, there's gonna be one or two. Under the wish, we give you another $30,800. And under MDPA. We give you, well, you gotta put down 10,000, but at 10,000, you can get $50,000 of free money. So if you guys don't know about those programs, you can Google them. Google Federal Land Bank, MDPA, or Wish. Read all about it.
How much do they have to put down for the wish?
So on this, this is a 4-to-1. So technically, as long as they put down $7,700, they're gonna get $30,800. On this, it's just a straight, you put down 10,000, you get 50.
But 30,800 is the max, that's why.
Yeah, this is the max you can get on Wish. So
Which is for good.
both of them are.
Both.
Yeah, so the difference is Wish takes 5 years
To forgive.
to forgive, it's prorated every month. MDPA is day one. You have a first-time home buyer who buys a house, they get $50,000, and then they decide they hate it and want to sell it the very next day. They keep the $50,000. It is the most incredible first-time home buyer program.
So 3,000, because then.
No, so this means that you're putting 10,000, you got, so it's a $60,000 down payment.
So it'd be 50 and you're 10, you're putting a $60,000 down.
And or you can use it to buy down your rate.
Did that have to be first time buyer?
Yes. And first-time home buyers defined by, haven't owned a home in the last 3 years.
Hold on, listen, guys, this part, first time home buyer defined by,
Haven't owned a home in the last 3 years. Some other differences, just so you guys know. On Wish, you can't make more than 80% of AMI. On MDPA, it's 140% of AMI, but here's where it gets very unique. On the MDPA, even if you make more, all they do is drop your income. So it doesn't eliminate you, it just means the max you can buy is based off of 140% of AMI based off of household. So like we have a customer right now has $40 million in net worth, makes $400,000 a month, or I'm sorry, a year. And he's gonna put down whatever the difference he needs to put down to buy his dream house. Oh, we can only use $9,500 a month for him to qualify because it's just him. But that guy still is gonna get $50,000 free. So, and credit on the downside, MDPA only has $20 million. So the first 400 people who get in the program get it, then it's gone. Now, the upside, there's only 14 banks that have access to it, so last year it lasted almost 90 days. This year, I'd say, based on the way I'm selling it, maybe 60. But it is a phenomenal program. So now that we know to go back a step, it's gonna take you $8,500 to get into a rental. We have DPA programs that you can get in with zero down.
sorry. Is it 4-to-1 on NDPA as well?
No, it's a flat, you put down 10, you get 50.
You have to put down.
You have to put down 10, and you're going to get 50. If you have 9,000, you're out, you don't qualify, you have to put down 10, but it can be a gift. Mom, dad, brother, sister, whoever gives it to you, sure. Now, the funny thing is, so under Wish, this 30,000, this goes in a second position. That keeps you from being able to go and tap the equity after the fact. On the MDPA, there is no second mortgage, so the very day after you close, you could technically go in and open up a home equity line of credit and access that fund. It is a still,
Is that refund every year
yes.
in January?
No, it's usually like April, May when it comes out. So we just got the funds for, we can start reserving them like last week.
And reserving the pre-qual and.
You have to have a contract to reserve them. So it's a way to really light a fire underneath your buyer's butts, because if you don't want to miss out, get under contract today.
So, yeah, so not just a pre-qual, but you have to be under contract with.
Under contract to reserve.
They're both national.
No, Wish is national, MBPA is only in Arizona, California, Nevada.
The first 400 people.
Yes,
Okay,
but again, there's only 14 bank, you can only get it if you're an FDIC bank. No mortgage companies, independent bankers or brokers have access. It's only FDIC banks. There's only 14 who have signed up for the program.
And Arizona are
Nationwide, and out of those 14 banks, they have very small mortgage divisions. So it's not like you have to have it and it's gonna be gone in 5 minutes. Like if this was out to every independent mortgage banker or broker,
yeah, it would
it
have
would
been.
be gone in 5 minutes.
Is there anything the buyer needs for it?
$10,000.
Yeah, okay, but credit score wise, things of that
So-
nature.
What's great about both these programs, they are program agnostic. Understand, you guys know where when you're talking this DPA, that's 0%. You guys all know those have higher interest rates, right? The reason they have higher interest rates is they're gonna give you 3% for your down payment. The way they make that is difference between 7 and 7.75 makes up the difference. That's why how most DPA products, or most DPA products work. These are grants from the federal land bank. I can take it anywhere. Already, conventional, FHA, USDA, VA. It's program agnostic, means over here, you get whatever the best rate on in the market is.
So what does the buyer have to have?
$10,000 down and 8% on it.
So
So
they
that's
want
it.
to qualify for the housing and get the contract and then apply for the.
So we approve that based off of getting them the money. So you go out, give me the contract that I reserve. Just make sure you don't skip I just can't reserve until I have the money. So we treat it as if.
So it said like a W-2 employee has to have it, or you know, the contractor.
I can, but I can't do, non-QM loans. It's gotta be a Fannie Freddie check.
Is there a basic credit score you have to have 640 above?
Yeah, the 580 or better. Right.
Okay,
Which is the exact same, and you can. That doesn't count the increase of the loan to value going down. But
That's
that's
right. Yeah, so yeah, that's right, mine.
You have a lesser credit score too then.
Yeah, you're gonna run your automated, whatever you put out, got it.
if we qualify, they qualify.
But you're putting them down as the LTV lower
Oh,
when
yeah.
you go to run it.
100%. Yeah, most everybody we put on the Home Ready program with Fannie Mae because it has the best rates. Home Ready is a first time home buyer, 3% down. Obviously, we're putting more than 3% down with $50,000, but they get the best rate by going that direction. Right, if you were going FHA, if you get, going back to the previous example, we're buying for $500,000. $50,000 is 10% down. You don't want to go FHA if you've already got 10% down. Unless low finance, there is the potential, conventional has bigger price adjustments for low.
FHA, you can have a lower credit score if you have more than 10% down.
Yeah, it's just the low level price adjustments are not as bad on government as they are on conventional. Conventional is extremely punished. Governments. And we run it both ways, whichever's going to be best for the customer.
So you can qualify for only one, not both, right?
Correct, yeah, we tried to stack that. We got it quick. You know, let's do it.
Yeah.
No double couponing here.
Yeah.
Hush.
And for those in the next question, I don't have an answer to you. Ben asking, called and asking it today. If you have an assumable first mortgage that you're selling with, can you use that with an assumption? And I'm waiting to hear.
Oh, it was not just the no one.
No, I don't think you're buying, so I don't know why it would be a no. I just want to clarify before I have it go and market. Dude, if you are buying, you're just using that because they don't care about the first one, right? So they shouldn't care that you're assuming. So it makes it easier for your cash mortgage if you're using that program. So we should have an answer on that today. But back to, I don't have enough money down payment. We're gonna get you in for 0 down. Because of the way the market is today, we get the seller to pay all of your closing costs and prepays. Where this is important, if you have enough seller concessions, now I know when you're doing this, you may have to pay over asking, or you've got to make sure you're making a full price on. But do you guys know what happens when you close on July 1st? You pick July 1st if you're closed of escrow. When's your first payment?
No.
No, September.
September.
Okay, yeah.
Because you have to prepay the 30 days of interest here. The only process starts on August, which means your first payment is September 1st. So if I can show you with our agents or the US agent, we're gonna get the seller to pay closing costs and prepays. We're gonna pick the first day of July as your close of escrow. Your first payment's like you, so you're gonna skip. Your payments are $6,000. So I'm gonna have the $8,500 that you need to put down, or that you would have had to put down over here. Take that $8,500 plus the $6,000 I'm saving, you're at $14,500, which is almost 3% of the $500,000 purchase price. If you bank borrower still, this $6,000 pay back to your family. You gotta go and call it a gift, but could you get access to it as long as you were taking that same $3,000 and you paid it to your family while you did have to pay it over?
Yeah.
Wait, why would they need 6 if they have 80? Or are you trying to figure out how to get 80?
No, I'm trying to say, take the same 8,500 you're doing rent, you're gonna save 6,000 over here. If you were doing a 3% down, we're almost there. Now, technically, we can get you in with 0 down. Higher rate, right? You're gonna have a 7 3/4 instead of a 7. But we can actually get it to where it's cheaper to buy than it is to rent, because there is no way you're coming in with 0 on a rent. On this, I just need you to have your appraisal, so let's say $500. Can you come with $500?
Yes.
And you should be able to, because even if you didn't have the same $500 to start anyway, if I can show you how we're gonna save you $6,000 over the next 60 days, you have more than enough to buy a house today.
I just need home ownership.
Most people forget the value of this. It's,
Yeah.
you could get the seller to make the first mortgage payment for you.
I know, sorry, it's obvious. We've been around it so much, right? But the difference between July 1st and June 30th is
Huge.
It's huge, right?
That's
June-
1 day of interest, so you,
June 30th is a June closing with the
August.
August payment. Closing on July 1st is what allows it a whole another 30 days. And they collect just the interest and not the principal if you didn't pick up on that. And that's what allows that to happen. And prepaid interest can be paid through the purchase contract.
Perfect. All right, for just honoring time and all the things, and we're just gonna switch it up and let's talk about some seller expectations. Let's get our listings sold. Okay, I don't know how you're gonna apply fully, but I'm interested. So I think this one might fall a little bit on.
you start, I've got a new script. I was just teaching agents on door knocking for expired listings. We'll do that.
I like it.
Yeah.
That was a good script.
Do you have something to start? Do you have something to start with, Jen?
Everyone get this before I
So we
erase it.
already talked about the other one. The other thing that I'm coming through, I guess is still buyer slash seller, is if they bought a home when it was 3%. And they're wanting to hold on to it, but they are motivated to move up. They're just struggling to release that payment.
Well, Eric, like, the thing with interest rate, that ironically, even with a seller, and this is where so I think I still want to, because I don't think I fully answered it, and I do want to expand, kind of like we are on this regarding your listings that are not selling, right? Because I really want to help some people understand. There are things that I take for granted because I've done them so many times that I'm like, this isn't just obvious knowledge, right? And by the way, I know that too, because, you know, this particular listing that I have, the wife is a licensed real estate agent, right? And she was like, oh, I had no idea, you know, because it's not her day-to-day thing. So, Eric, I'll probably lean on you on.
You're right. Let me do the math.
Not the second, I'll put the next one. The next one's gonna be, they have 3% now, they don't want to lose that, right? So, you know, so we obviously have some function or just show them. So, does anybody have a listing that is just sitting there collecting dust right now? So, yes, perfect. Okay, all right. So, you're talking to the seller and you go, hey, I can understand, this is gonna be very frustrating, right? You know, I know this is gonna be a difficult conversation, but all we can do here is say, let's attempt to move forward. And my job is not to sit here and say, I know, I'm sorry, what did it, you know, I'm not a really great real estate agent if I don't have some kind of solution for you. And so let's have a conversation about what it is that we need to do to help you get this listing sold, now that we've been able to test the market, right? Remember in your scripting, you just gotta remain positive, right? Match their frustration level, right? Hey, look, I'm frustrated too, right? I don't get paid to list them, I get paid to sell them, right? You know, so I'm sitting here every day trying to figure out how to get this 200 contract that's sold to help you move on and me get paid, right? And so here's what I wanted to discuss with you. So I'm gonna lean on you guys a little bit because I'm curious. What is the first thing you're doing when that house isn't selling? What is that? What's the first thing you're doing?
Look at the drop price.
Well, what makes, like, how would you know to what even suggest?
How would they know what to suggest? You're on the comps.
Okay, so we're all running to the computer, right? When that seller's like, hey, so like, what's going on? Why isn't it selling, right? And, or you're sitting there thinking like, they're gonna call me and ask me like, what the heck, you know, like, what the heck is going on, right? So we're all running to our computer, we're flipping that thing open, yes, right? And we're going, okay, let me go draw this out for the 50th time, right? Like, I'm gonna go draw a circle, I'm gonna do everything right, and everything comes up. What are you looking for at that point? What are you thinking has changed from the time that you first did it, got the listing agreement? Like, what are you even looking for from that time? Like, you're gonna see the same 3 homes that sold the last time you checked, right? Have you guys been experiencing that, right?
Yeah.
You're like, there's the same comparables. There's that one, right? I even had one where it was like justified that the price could even go up. Okay, so are you guys following along? Right, we're all doing the exact same thing. We're running to our computer, we're running it, and lo and behold, 60 days later, it's the same 3 or 4 comparables. And we're like, what the hell? Like, what is going on? Okay.
I looked at the other homes that are on the market that are comparable to see if those were under contract.
Yeah.
And start calling the agents. And I said, did you shave your head on this? When you get it sold?
Yeah,
Did you take that?
one of our agents just sent, and again, I'm not saying it was right, wrong, or indifferent. One of our agents just sent us a settlement statement for a property they did, right? And the listing side was getting 1,500 bucks. Okay, whatever, we don't know the situation, there could have been a ton of context. You go, but sometimes that could be a reason, right? So, okay. If you're anything, and I apologize, like, I wish I could tell you there's just a script for this, but the problem is it's in our behaviors. Okay, and so we're all doing this, right? MLS, right? We're like, property, 1 mile radius. Give me the, you know, if you got 2,200 square feet, you're like, show me 1,900 to 2,500 square foot. It's a 1-story, so max it out at 1 story, right? There's a pool, awesome. No pool, right? It has a pool, you go change it to not no pool, okay? So I can see all the pools, right? Now it comes back and it's typically what we're doing, right? Is we're running the comps, we're looking at everything like that. One of the things that we need to get better at is saying we need to look at this from different levels, right? There's the neighborhood, there's a 1 mile radius, there's also the zip code, okay? Right? Hey, if it doesn't have a pool, I have one right now in North Scottsdale, right? It doesn't have a pool. Guess what? I don't have a comparable. Then, second I switched that pool, I had 9. So I go, great, so I found the only seller that doesn't have a pool in the area. Okay,
Why don't?
yeah, exactly. So, number 1, do this also for the zip code. Okay, for my listing, when I was looking in the neighborhood, it was a very hard narrative to tell them. When I went to the zip code, I go, there's some comparables. Here's what I've come to find out. In said 85259 zip code, there has been 1 to 2 buyers only for their type of property every month for the last 90 days. I go, okay. like wrap your head around that, right? Like if you knew that your listing has one buyer or two buyers that have any interest in a home like it, do you have the best home for this comp range? Right now, my listing as it stands is not like there's 2 to 3 better homes than it right now. How do I determine that? Price and or condition. I'm going through the photos and I'm like, hey guys, and I'm a very, I know you guys know this, but sorry if this is being recorded, right? But, right? Like my clients know at that point, I go, guys, we look like shit compared to everybody else right now. Like we started off good, but like now our competition, we look like shit. Like we are not number 1 or number 2, right? We got that at 1.1, we got that at 1 million, we got that at 1.2, and we're sitting above all of this. So what do you want to do, right? And this is, you can call it a script if you want, but scripting comes down to conversation, which comes down to choice. You now know, right? I've sent you the link. You tell me if you think you look as good as these other ones, right? Please tell me if you think that, because now I know we're gonna be butting heads there, right? If you think you're gorgeous and I'm like, no, you're not, okay? They want choice. Hey, so guess what? After a phone call, I'm following up with an email, and in that email, these are the same choices I told them on the phone for them to be able to reflect on, because they're visual people, right? So, number 1, you do nothing, and if you do nothing, you could just let time be your friend, right? I go, if you let time be your friend though, like, I'm not advocating that. Because if you have a goal, it's costing you money in some shape or form. Still paying on that mortgage, you still got your holding costs, right? And continue deferred maintenance. Guess what? I actually had, if you don't believe this because you haven't experienced, that home sitting on the market cost my client $20,000 because they had to end up replacing the AC this summer. Okay, a home sitting there can cost you. Now, if I'm having this problem, you're like, then what the hell? Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, just know we can't control every seller, right? They are stubborn. I have given them the game plan. They're choosing not to choose. Well, they are. They're choosing to do nothing, right? Until it's forced on them. 20,000 later, they're like, now we're getting tired of this. Okay, right? And that's unfortunate, right? So what all you can do is educate, right? And so option number 1 is you do nothing. Option number 2 is what we all normally go after.
Right.
Lower the price. Okay, well, how much do I need to lower the price? Well, the how much is here are the 3 other properties other than you that are within here that are a 1-story, 2-story with no pool or with a pool. I go, and you're the 3rd or 4th highest priced one. So would you like to be the best price, 2nd best price, or 3rd best price? I go, but remember I told you that in the whole zip code, only 1 to 2 people are buying everything for your type of property. What choice would you guys make? Forget being a real estate agent, like what would you make at that point? Well, shit, I guess I'd better be the best priced one.
What if you're
Or-
the best price one?
What?
What if you're already the best price one? It still isn't selling.
Then I would need to look at your listing, because the reality is like if you're the best price one and everybody still doesn't want you, then it's not being marketed properly. We don't, Spiro does a great job with this. He looks for the worst feature of the property and talks about it like it's the best. He makes sure to, you're back in a busy street, fantastic, no busy noise in the backyard from other landscapers and stuff, you know what I mean? Like you go, right? You gotta find the worst feature and make it the best, because the best features can sell themselves. Your job is to sell the worst part of that house. Okay, now I know this is not a listing class, but you'll understand this, because when you have to have that go have that conversation, if you can't look at that listing differently, you will always hate this conversation with your clients. Because even when it happens to the best of us, you want to talk about pricing? I know it's wrong. We tried this and it didn't work. So now we need to look at it differently, right? So then option number 3 is we need to make the house look better. This is a suggestion I made to my clients. Hey, if you are to drop the price, if you're going to ask me what you need to drop your price, we are dropping it $75,000. Okay? Or you can take my word and you can get all of your tired furniture out of here, okay? Let us bring in a stager, professional, right? Fantastic company has helped me sell all of our flips, Ivory Designs. I go, it's gonna be $4,000 for your size home. Patio, inside, 60 days rent. Right? And this is how sellers are, right? They go, what happens after 60 days? They go, well, they're gonna start charging you month per month after that. They're like, oh, so like the expense could go up, and I go, yeah, it could, right? Or, you know, in that same time frame, if it doesn't sell, you're gonna drop the price another 75,000 on top of that later, right? So let's not worry about it, you know, like, and so we were able to sit down and educate, and I'm walking you through this. I'm giving you guys the short version to try to speed this up, but, right? Like, go, hey, if we make a $4,000 investment here, I reinvest to get you pictures at that point after we have the staging in there. Right now, we can talk about, let's do like a $5,000 price drop, not a $75,000 price drop. You just put in new AC units for $20,000. I go, if we can look the best, right? And guys, we just did this with one of our agents. He is stressed out. It's his girlfriend's parents. They're getting divorced. She's a nightmare. He's not, right? You know, you heard the phone call on Captain's Club last week. Guess what? Restaged it. Same, like they uploaded the photos and within 2 hours they had 5 showings, but they hadn't had any showings. That's how crucial staging is. And if you don't know that, you're gonna have a hard time with these listings right now. It's all down to staging. Can you sell that product, right? Courtney and I just got lunch at like Firehouse Up, and she's like, I would never eat that per ingredient, but that photo looks really good. Right? I was like, you would hate that. You hate barbecue sauce, right? Like, and so, yeah, and you go photos, right? And sometimes we say, well, I hired a professional, so like, it is what it is. No, this room had this agent, right? This other example, right? Had a big ass pool table in there, eating up the main photo, right? And we're like, no, dude. All people see is a headache and inconvenience. They took that out. It's literally like a rug and 2 chairs up against the wall, and there's nothing else there. And he was like he was like 4 showings, and then I called him. I'm like, dude, that's so awesome, congratulations. He's like, as you called me, 5th showing just showed up. Are you guys following? Do you know how to give options? Do you even know what the options are? This is why this particular, and by the way, every listing agent is dealing with it right now. If an agent knows how to go and pick up listings, right? Like, man, our best listing agent well, I'm sorry, let me rephrase it. Our best lead generator for listings at Professional Partners. You can pick up listings whenever she wants, but doesn't mean they're selling. And not because she's not good, it's the market we're in. Every house has this situation of there's a limited number of person in that area and zip code. And how does yours stack up in either price or condition? Gary Keller, right? 80% of the reasons the house sells, price or condition. And sometimes we just, like, as agents, we're just like, well, then price. Well, then price. Keep dropping the price, because I don't know what else to do. And guess what? It's your job to know what else to do. Okay? So, staging companies. They can be as low as, the cheapest staging company I ever got, $1,500. 1,500 square foot home, 6 month, 60-day rent. Biggest game changer. Most expensive, you start getting into luxury. You're going to be like $4,000 or $5,000 for those same 60 days, but they're stunning. What I like about Ivory, if they still do it, I haven't used them like super recently, so I hate saying that a company does something and then they decide to change it. But the last time I used them, they also include the photos in the price. And they do some really awesome lifestyle photos. So, yeah. By the way, do you view your listing from a lifestyle standpoint? Okay, like, does someone look at your listing and go, it would be so badass to live in Anthem? Or do they go, this seems like a cool house or not? Okay, does that all make sense? That would be your difference when you walk in. There's no magic script. Like, I promise you that if you have a script that'll make the seller drop the price, like, they don't like you. They do not, okay? If that is all there's left to do, then you gotta go, hey, we tried, right? The script is, we tried the market. We already know this is the case. The question is it more important for you to try to get this price that we've already proven we can't? Or is it more important to get to what you told me was important to you, just to get over to Florida?
Do you used to gauge that kind of like who's showing to get a week? We used to gauge it by that, like if I was getting 4 or 5 showings a week.
Because there is, look, like, the only reason that answer can be yes. If I'm getting 1 to 2 showings a week, that sucks. Like, in the world that we grew up in, right, James? Like, 1 to 2 showings a week is like terrible by definition. You go, but if there's only 1 to 2 buyers buying a month, I can't be getting more than that then.
Right.
By definition, right, like, if there's only 1 to 2 actually going under contract a month. In my zip code for that type of property, like, I'm not gonna get 15 showings a weekend. So it depends, right? If I have the $400,000 home, in the hottest spot, and 10 of them are selling a week. Then I'd be like, well, if I'm not getting 10 showings, then like something's wrong, right?
Still get great showings on there too.
You're still getting great showings, but they will not write an offer on it.
About 90 days in now, I still get 4 or 5 a week.
And no one's pulling the trigger.
Some Palm Valley, 5,000 square foot with a basement, which nobody has a freaking basement.
What's the
Then,
feedback?
like, and by the way, I'll promise you to have a conversation with you out of this so we can move to the next part of this, right? But like, the very first thing, like, they're not sold on the house when they arrive. You have a staging problem. You're probably and by the way, I'm not saying you have to pay for it. I'm just saying, you're probably $4,000 away from fixing that.
It's vacant, and it's big.
Oh, worse.
Empty.
Buyers don't have vision, right? The only people, but I have the coolest buyers right now. The guy's an engineer, right? So like, that's what he does for a living, is reimagine space. He showed up, the floor plan was in the MLS for this house we were gonna look. The guy showed up with the whole place redesigned, on CAD and everything like that. I was like, this is weird. Like, I'm normally the one having to cast a vision to these buyers, right? Like, you could do this, you could knock out this wall. This guy already had the whole thing all mapped out and everything. And I was like, okay. Buyers don't have vision, right? If they're showing up, they're seeing a vacant house, they can't see how they can enjoy that. They're not getting any life. The great thing about staging, it can give people a sense of what their life is going to be like inside that. Yeah, I would, by the way, your point, you're already the best price, so it's not what a great example. Already the best price. So you go, shit, if that's not doing it, then what do I do? Tell them to drop it more? Yeah, staging, 100%. Okay. And then,
So I'll add one other thing that I would do. What do home builders do right now to sell houses?
It's incentive.
So we just said a minute ago, every 0.5% is equal to what?
5%.
5% buying power. So if you need to drop them 10% on sales price, what could you do to equate that in incentives? You just drop 1%. So if you had it marketed that your bank is offering a 6% because you convinced your sellers that they're gonna buy it down, which would be 2 to 3% to buy down 1% depending on the day. So instead of dropping it 10%, you offer a 3% incentive and you get the buyer to the payment that they're looking for. What else do home builders do to get you guys to sell their homes? They incentives, they do one other thing that I've always thought was genius, and especially everything that's going on with NAR, even though I know this is probably the wrong time period to say it, but how do you really sell them?
Oh, they offer the buyer's agent, so too.
Yeah. This is a 4% to the buyer.
Yeah.
How many more people show your house when you're paying them a whole extra percent? Oh, I can guarantee you, like, I can't wait for this to come, like, once this NAR settlement comes full circle, they are going to find out that the only thing that happened by not paying a buyer's agent, if it really goes, which I don't believe it's going to, but if it does really go, all they're gonna find out is everybody's house just dropped 3% down. That's all it's gonna happen. Why? Because we're gonna do it, right? We're gonna tell us, oh, if they're not paying that, then it's not worth the appraised value.
the agents already do. Hey, if you find the buyer, will you take less?
So sometimes offering incentives, whether it's to the buyer or to the buyer's agent, or that, or both, yeah. You wanna move a property, we're paying 4% co-broke, and we're buying your rate down a full percent. And even by doing that, that's still only 4%. You ask the seller to drop, not 10. Incentives are far more valuable than a drop in price. And cash buyer is a different story, but people financing by far.
Oh, sorry, the next one was the person,
Oh, yeah, I would love to move, but we bought this house in 2020 and our interest rate is gorgeous. So it's we're outgrowing it, but you just can't justify it without that interest rate.
So my first script that I'm gonna give you, you may not wanna do because it's gonna cost you a list.
Okay.
Way to lead with that.
So maybe this is like ends up being the second script, but with me, so you guys always realize that when it comes to home buying, and it's not gender specific, it just happens to be this way in my household. Who makes the buying decision in my household?
But
My wife, without a doubt, is the one who is going to choose the house. But she can't choose it till I sign off on the finance. So that's why you always see me, I talk finance, because that's what I understand. My wife and I used to fight nonstop about the dream house she wanted, because it did not ever match up with my finance. Now, funny enough, when you talk staging, back in 2005, we were looking for homes in the $1 million range. Which, what's the difference, $1 million range in 2005 to today? Oh, to $2 million. We didn't buy a house because someone didn't flush the toilet. Someone had left a great big old turd. And in my wife's mind, if they didn't do that, what else in this house am I not seeing? Like, that's how crazy my wife is.
No. Can you pause? How many times do we talk about that, guys? They see one thing and then the buyer's eye goes to, there must be so many other things wrong. So from a consumer standpoint, you're hearing that. Go on.
My wife's that, but so finance is always the way to get me to give her the approval to go pick what house, because at the end of the day, I care what house I live in. I couldn't give a rat's rent. I care about the garage for my toys. Outside of garage, I don't care. I don't care where the bed goes. I don't care what color the walls are. I don't care how big the backyard. I don't care if there's I don't care about any of this. That matters to her, not to me. I care about this. So when you're talking your objection, you're talking to somebody who's like, unfortunately, by the way, that sucks. I am the world's worst buyer. Agents absolutely hate me. So the way you get my attention. How much is this house worth currently? What'd you say? Listen, just give me a number. You can make it up.
600.
$600,000. And I owe how much? 330. And I have a rate of what? 3% rate. I'm gonna, now, I guess you could do it on a listing. I'm gonna market this property as a seller carryback. And I'm gonna offer a 6%. Which is 1% cheaper than anywhere else they can go, right?
Does that make sense?
So if you were borrowing today from a bank, you're gonna pay 7%. But I'm not making 6% just on my equity, which is 270,000. I'm gonna make the 3% on this 330. So when you start looking at it from an income standpoint. Okay. So,
Can I pause you there before you do that, though?
Yep.
So most people are gonna say, but you want me to sell it or back the whole thing?
potentially. Potentially. But they're gonna get some of it. They're not gonna finance 100%. So you advertise it, for my next house, let's say I need 60,000, but I want 10%. So I'm gonna finance 210 here. I'm gonna finance 330 there, so 330,000 times 3%. I'm gonna make $9,900 a year here. And 210,000 at 6%, I'm gonna make 12,600 here. So $22,500 a year in income. Right, so then you take the 270 that you left on the table. Divide that into it, so 270. I'm gonna show you how to make 8% on your money. Where else can you put your money in a safe environment, get 8% today? Now I'm gonna take that 22.5, which I know is 8%. I'm gonna say, but that is gonna come out to, let's count that on a monthly basis. This is gonna cover $1,875 of your new mortgage. You wouldn't have that without doing this. So whatever your new mortgage is, let's go figure out, so they're selling 600, where do they buy? Buy an 8? So we're gonna go 800,000. So 53, 22, 42 is a principal and interest. Actually, well, that's that now. So 4,923.24. It's equivalent of only having a $3,048.24. So now if you take that same, that's your new payment, 30-year term. 40 loan amount, what's the interest? You just showed them how they're buying their new house, and it's gonna cost them 2.82%. You actually got it lower. So, by the way, you should practice over, and what's the worst place to practice? In front of them. Sit down, that's why you want a mortgage calculator, sit down and going out, knowing the financial route, going, I don't want to walk away from my 3. But I'm going to show you how to invest your money to make you enough to where the equivalent of your new payment is at 2.82. All you have to do is have a mortgage calculator, amortization calculator, you can figure all this out. Now, your taxes and insurance are going to be whatever they are. All you have to do is figure out how much income they're going to make off of the seller carryback. Figure that into a monthly payment, which was the 1875. Subtract it off what your new principal and interest payment is going to be, get you down to what the equivalent is. Do the same loan amount, same that payment, 30-year term, and hit interest rate. It'll tell you where you're at. So you're showing someone how to leverage themselves to get back to the equivalent of being at 3% rate. Now, how do they save it? So you went, oh, it's a hassle. Okay. It's always a hassle. Making money is not easy. Well, the great side is if they don't make the payments, what do? Take the property back
And then do it again.
and find someone else. But now you got their down payment. Right? You require them to put down $60,000.
And then next, so 20%.
Yeah, right. Well, you gotta be careful. You don't want to put down too much because you want to get this deal. Right? But the key is you're making 3% on money you don't have. How many of you like to make interest on money you don't have? Or nod your head, yes, I like to make money on for money that's not mine. And I like to make more because if you're getting a 6% carry here, it gives out 8%. Even if you just said, well, I was at 7, but I'm getting 8% on my money. That leverage is valuable.
So you're offering the 6% on a 30 year?
And you're gonna rent it.
And you, by the way, for however long you want to make that 8%, you could make it a balloon, if you said. Then
But you gotta be careful. Balloons on primaries can get you in trouble. Remember, Dodd-Frank has prohibited balloon payments on primary residences.
even on a seller, they can turn it on a seller carry back.
Yep. Yeah, even if you don't know the rules, you can be held accountable. You want to be careful. But now it's about that. Here's the great part. If this sounds like too much of a hassle, you've eliminated this person. They can't say no anymore because this person doesn't care about the hassle. I can flat out guarantee you, my wife does not care how hard I have to work if she wants. Does not care. You've eliminated me. I can't say no anymore because you just showed me a way that I'm 2.2 and you got hopefully a listen. You've always got to be able to overcome whoever the math person is. Math people keep people from selling, they keep people from buying. When the other person's going, I need. Right? So overcoming this person is actually the hardest one because most of us don't speak math.
Yeah.
What do you guys speak? We're gonna find you the house of your dreams, we're gonna find you everything you want. We're gonna get it in the neighborhood, the school district, and all those things. And none of those things matter to this person. You could never. Now, my last house we bought sight unseen, and guess what the reason why we signed off?
The numbers made.
Because the numbers make sense, yeah.
Nope, it had a 4-car garage attached and a double RV garage. all of a sudden, I didn't care what the numbers were, because I wanted my garage, like, that spoke to me.
Is that mansplaining?
Well, is that math?
Men math, men math,
Yeah.
math men?
Now, it was supposed to be,
This girl.
by the way, I lost this, but I thought this was the agreement up front. This was mine, and my wife was not supposed to be allowed to go into.
No.
Because I used to have a warehouse that I like to buy toys, and I want my wife to know I'm spending money. So I used to keep all my stuff out of 52nd Street in Washington. I had a 30,000.
Oh, my gosh.
Warehouse that I only paid $500 a month for. Has anybody been to 52nd Street in Washington lately?
No, but now I'm gonna go drive by.
Wow.
just-
They tore it down and now it's all apartments. So I lost this warehouse.
Oh,
And when I started bringing my toys home, you know how fast she was selling my stuff? Like it sucked. She was, I'd come home, I'm like, where's my Bronco? Oh, I put it on the marketplace. It's gone. Like she was just selling like crazy because I didn't have, so I thought, well, if I have an RV garage and she's not allowed in it, she can't see.
how's that working out for you?
I was naive, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
There you go.
Just want to make sure.
I have more toys than I had at the old house. By the way, when I say toys, I buy and sell. Like I can't help myself. I'm always the math guy. So I like to buy stuff, I like to store stuff, I like to sell stuff. Whether it's real estate, whether it's cars, whether it's motorcycles. I can buy something when it's deteriorated, fix it up, have some fun with it. I buy when people are emotional and like to sell when people are emotional. And so my wife doesn't understand that, like my motorcycle and car business on the side makes another $150,000 a year. But to her, it was, oh, you don't need this. And when she's selling emotional, what does that do to my money?
Eats it all up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's. My wife doesn't sell on finances, she sells on emotion. It's like, she sold my Ford Broncos, a 1966 Ford Bronco, who knows cars? What is 66 Ford Broncos fully restored, looking awesome, go?
200.
But I didn't have the all, it was more old. About 50 grand. My wife sold it for 20.
Oh,
And she didn't check the money, man, she just wanted it out of her garage. What's that?
The number is 7.
Is it 70 now?
I just drove down to the bar.
I look at cars every day.
Yeah, it was a 1966 Ford Bronco with a 351 Cleveland. This thing was a beast.
Original, but not.
But I didn't have there was no top or doors.
Yeah.
Oh,
She sold it for 20. By the way, back to the same guy I bought it from for 8.
Oh, well, there you go.
Can I get your number?
No, she'll sell more of my stuff.
Yes.
no more money.
But there's always something that can overcome that. For me, it was this. I care about garages. I don't care about it, but garages is more important to me. She's supposed to stay the hell out of it. It's- it- But math, so when it comes to, I don't want to walk in for my thing, but I have all this equity. How do I leverage it? Practice it, get good at it. If you don't have the app or you don't want to spend the $20, you can go online and just type in mortgage amortization calculator. They're free, everything. Just go and type in the numbers, you can figure it out. But get practice with it over and over and over again. Get good at the math.
And then in addition to that, since this is what I was able to do with one client, right? And this still applies with what I'm about to say is, most people don't know about mortgages as well. And so you can have that conversation with the money person and say, great, let's talk about what that criteria for that next home is, and let's go take a look. And one of the scariest facts, right now, if you ask me, is on the MLS, every month since January 1st, there's only about 127 properties marked as assumable in Armless right now. And there are, if you actually run that through Monsoon to check that stat, it's really over about 1,500 properties that are assumable that the real estate agent is not marking in Armless as such.
But do you feel like that agents do not understand the process of assumable loans and what
No, they
qualifies and
don't.
doesn't?
We've never been in a market to care. And so.
I mean, we're in a market to care now, though.
Oh, correct. Yeah, trust me, that's why I talked about it for a whole year last year. So.
Yeah,
so Alex, you can retrieve that just with, the other field, FHA first?
Yeah, in Monsoon, you're gonna go.
Oh, Monsoon, okay.
Yeah, you go to Monsoon and you go for a quick search in Monsoon. And then you're gonna say, hey, I don't know if you guys know, this is actually really funny. You can search Monsoon for active listings like you can in Armless. But what's cool about Monsoon is you can even search other MLSs in Arizona because they'll tell you, right? So you can be like, I want to check Par, I want to check White Mountain, and so you go, show me everything in Armless that's active, And then you go, I wanna know what mortgage, was used to, and it's gonna do that based on what it was used to purchase the property. And so, in this case, depending on the person, you do not have to be a VA buyer to assume a VA loan. You just have to keep in mind that the, VA seller, if they want their entitlement for the next property, that could get hung up. And when I say could, it will get hung up for either indefinitely unless some, like, I don't even want to pretend that I know that portion of it inherent if you do, but FHA can be assumed, right? The person just has to qualify for it. And if the VA person's like, I just get it off my hands, like I'm not even gonna use my entitlement for the next place, like a non-VA person can buy that as well, so.
Does the title go away at death? Like if there's a VA loan with their entitlement on this house and they got it.
So they have to sign off. So, yeah, I would assume. Because the veteran has to sign off with their acknowledgement that they're entitled to sign up.
So I'm still trying to, so let me, when I think about that,
So
so,
it's the original.
The seller, well, the husband that is the VA person that was, that the wife is trying to sell, they assume that VA loan. The person.
you understood the question that way when you.
Yeah, so I don't know.
But doesn't,
100%.
isn't the wife entitled?
The wife is, but the veteran dies, the wife loses that.
So,
Yeah, she can't buy, use of his option.
so the
I thought you did the other way around, I thought they would do it.
No, the Veterans Association does not care about spouses like.
So that mortgage would not be able to be assumable then at that point.
Because the veterans out there assign.
Oh, that's intense, sorry, I think that I hit everybody. I'm listing it, so someone can buy it.
So, number one, showing the ability to be able to go assume a property, right, like, and talk about the power of that, right? Like, my clients were able to get into $1 million properties that they didn't want to spend $1, so we found their dream home.
And there are second mortgages that go up to 90% in cash and mortgage.
Yeah.
So they assume the first, and we get them a second cash and mortgage, then we get them 90%.
We've had this discussion before. I'm gonna give my, like, because on it, FHA or a non-VA assumable because we ran it, I could not.
Second mortgage, yeah.
Yeah, you cannot do a second mortgage when the assumable first is VA. Because there are no seconds that are assumable and the VA guidelines require that if there is going to be a second mortgage, it also has to be assumable. Because the veteran has to be able to then let somebody be able to assume all of it in the future. So,
Once you assume it, they can't stop. it.
Yeah.
But upfront.
so that's what my clients ended up doing.
Okay, good question.
They got a family member to cover the difference between $1 million and the VA first, right? Then we went to the bank that told us that they would do it, but then came to find out they couldn't do it because of that guideline with VA. We closed on the deal,
That's what it's-
then they did a refi on a second refi or, to get them that money back and give it back to the family. Yeah. But FHA. All everything. Yeah.
And if they want me to do the assumption form, I do charge a point. But the reality is they don't need me to do the assumption. They can call up, talk to the bank, they'll send out the package, they fill it out, send it in. If they want me to do it for them, I charge.
Yeah, and I want to be very clear too on this, we just went through a lot of math and numbers, and I know sometimes for most people, like, Courtney's probably like lost over there, yeah, so, yeah. Right, here's what I want you guys to know, because this is that repetition part, right? Remember the contract booting, right, the contract writing boot camp, when we all got our license, right? And you're just like, this is not how I learned, but 1 page a day, every day, right, memorize it line by line. Like, this is the kind of stuff you have. Can you tell Eric has done this 1 or 2 times before, right? So, on the flip side, right, to his point, there is asking questions, get to know the lifestyle portion of all this and how it's important for that part of their brain or that one partner in the partnership, right? But if you can't also do this, you're gonna lose them because when the numbers don't make sense, right? We've all been there, right? Like, we can fall in love with a car and then, the car dealer is like, well, your payment's gonna be this, you're like, no. Right? You're like, we're gonna figure out, I'm either gonna talk you down or you're gonna rework this until it makes sense, right? So guess what? Our world is no different, right? So you need to know, hey, we can get you into a assumable, we can show you how to sell or carry back to leverage that as a tool to actually make money to help make your next home be cheaper, right? So. Yes.
Alex, is there any way to aggregate all those things, you find out on monsoon, all the FHA? In other words, like, you know, in MLS, you can set all the parameters and pull report stuff on that. Can you pull reports off of monsoon? To that FHA? Or do you have to go one by one?
Good question. Normally when I search for that, it hasn't been to search for my client as one to see how many agents are missing out on not putting that in our list. But you'd be surprised, monsoon, you can put, the only thing that you can't really mess with in monsoon is like bedrooms, bathrooms, because that's subjective tax record wise, but at least you can do square footage. I mean, for the most part, if you know your client's looking for 2,000 square feet, but they're like, I don't want a 4-bedroom, you're like, that's okay, I'll run my risk on 2,000 square feet, and it's probably,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So,
Mhm.
because remember, all those properties are gonna be active on the MLS, so once you go through, you go, you know, like, once you really start saying, hey, has a pool, you know, between 1,900 and 2,200 square feet, 1,500 is gonna go down to like 10, right? For that, your client's actual criteria, just take those 10 addresses and put them in harmless, because with the steps I gave you, these are all active properties in harmless anyways, right? The problem is that you don't know they're assumable because the agent failed to put that as a criteria. Yeah. Now, there could be a reason. Hey, I didn't put it because they only owe 100,000, so it's not gonna make sense, right? Hey, I didn't put it because they don't want to deal with the hassle because they, you know, VA person could straight up, this would almost happen because it took 60 days for us to button that up. And we did everything the second it was passed. And they don't care. Like, those people are on salary, not making $1 to have this assumption go through, right? So they're just taking sweet time, right? So, you know, that person may say, no, like, I don't want to wait around for that assumption because, you know what, you just built, and like, I can't wait that long, the builder won't wait that long. You know, there could be reasons that someone didn't check market, but it's hard for me to believe that, like, you know, 127 and 1,500, that some people is because they don't know.
Great.
Yeah.
But then if you call them up and you make the offer on it, and it's not selling. You know,
They'd be like, oh my gosh, you're a lifesaver. Like,
Well, that's great, because I'm gonna put somebody on a prescription. I was looking for FHA and there was nothing. It was mid-century crap, excuse the language. And with this, I can just say, okay, what do you like? I'll go research one month.
yeah, from an assumption standpoint, I would say, you know, like otherwise armless, you know, you should be all good. But when we're talking about, hey, is there an opportunity to assume something? Like, that is one of the best kind of secrets right now to help somebody, especially, you know, individuals with a low interest rate mortgage right now that they don't want to let go.
I feel like this should be some finance.
Yeah, I know, it turned it, and you know, you guys will come to find out, like, it really should be, and a lot of this is being able to educate your clients, right? The best script is helping that person leave educated so that they can make the best informed decision, right? They leave educated when you're able to do, imagine, you can get them a 2.8%. Like, what if you did this trick and they assumed a property that's currently at 3%, they're making money too.
Well, we don't know what we don't know,
Yeah,
right? So if we don't understand it, then how can we explain?
by the way, at the absolute minimum, like, any of you in this position now look up and go, crap, I can sit around all day and look at the suitable property and see if I want to buy it.
That's what-
And you're like, I'm gonna do this for me.
Yeah, I got a specific request.
You're looking for-
Well, so, what if it's on the conventional side?
It's not assumable, that's where you do a carry.
That's what I'm saying. You're right.
Yeah.
They
This,
should have had a good carryback.
nothing about assumable matters for what
Right.
Eric went over. My assumable part and how to search them and everything like that, like, there are, I mean, it's been a very long time.
You can do this on a government one too. You can do this on a carryback.
Yeah.
The assumption just gets it to where they're in the frame door, they don't have to deal with it, they're not collecting payments, but they lose out on the potential of 1875. You're talking to the money guy, what do you think is more important, 1875 or getting rid of a mortgage? I love making money off of it.
And I personally find it kind of funny, but I think it's easier to foreclose on someone than it is to take out a tenant. So.
Probably, yeah, PM's its own world.
So if anyone is confused with this, you guys want to do some more one-on-ones, or you want me to send you guys like numbers to run and let, see if you guys can get them and come back, just reach out. Happy to do it.
They're between by the okay, so any other crazy questions? I think we kind of diverted a little bit this time, but thank you guys for essentially creating like a little bit of a mastermind. For us to kind of work through the things, so. Yes, go, what do you got?
So mine says, why would I sell the market's going to crash? But then you said something about fire strike.
Oh, yes.
Let's
See?
fire script.
I like
Let's-
it a lot.
Let's go to that one first. Like, how many of you guys have heard someone talk about the market's gonna crash?
Everyone,
Yeah,
yeah,
like half of everybody would.
Okay, so let's talk first easy. Where is the safest place to have your money in an inflationary market?
Gold or land?
Real estate. Without a doubt, real estate is number one, because real estate, you ever seen real estate gold? Real estate's a leveraged asset. You don't get a borrow to buy gold. Borrow to buy real estate. Every hedge fund in the world for the last several years have put their money where?
Real estate.
Real estate. That's why there's a housing shortage. So back prior to 2000 and the last big, last crash was 2007. What happened in the years coming up to 2007? We way overbuilt. Since 2007. And we overbuilt, way underbuilt. We're about 20 million houses nationwide short of housing our population. Now, part of the problem is, during those years, the impact fees about $20,000 per lot to build. How do you build? Have you guys seen great starter homes everywhere? Where's all the builders trying to do? Yeah, 2,000 square feet and above, because that impact fee kills them. So inflationary market, housing shortage, not housing overage. That's why we should have already seen if the market was going to collapse, it would have already happened. Rates went up. Why hasn't? What's the only thing that can actually cause the market to crash? And this is very important for you guys to think about. Now, people still gotta live it when you're unemployed.
I want to say four, but then four breaks one. Dangerous, right?
Banks are gonna crash anyway. Not because of residential, banks are gonna crash because of commercial. Commercial is a major problem coming up. What's the biggest problem with commercial?
Well, their fees are pretty darn
Well,
high.
since COVID, there's all this remote workers.
People are working from home, they don't need as much real estate, and commercial has a reset. Every 5 to 7 to 10 years, there's a balloon, they have to pay it off and recaps. So then the banks kind of come back to these same people who were able to rent out for $23 to $30 a square foot, and now they're gonna get 18. Now it doesn't cash flow at the ROI that they need it to be, so they're gonna say, what's the borrowers? We need more money. What are the borrowers gonna say? I don't have any more money. Problem. But residential is different. What's the only thing that can change it? Think work.
Yeah.
So the problem in the United States is we went from the average age of being 75 at death to 82 for men and 84 for women. Baby boomers haven't started dying. We keep saying they're going to die.
Now feeling morbid.
That is the mortality rates are the only thing that are gonna create enough inventory to fix the problem we're in right now. Builders are not going to build fast enough. They're not gonna build the product we need. The only thing that can really cause a crash is high death rates. in this country. That's it.
That's been happening.
So war technically could, right? Other than the people who are going to war, is it the old and decrepit?
No, it's already.
Yes, the youngins who don't have houses.
Yeah.
And they're in the military, so they really can't afford a house, at least not in Arizona.
But even the, I mean, part of the reason why we don't have a lot of new home buyers too right now, isn't it because kids are not getting married as fast? Like, we don't have new homes, like new homes being
Or
started.
they're all coming out of college with huge debt. They don't know, they're not making the money that it takes to buy a house. Sure.
Oh, it's really hard to move that.
So where can you buy houses? This is actually the scary part. Let's take Arizona, and I'm gonna compare it against to my favorite market to sell it right now. How many of you guys have ever been to Wichita, Kansas?
Well, that's, I know this.
There's a note in it. What are the major companies that have offices in Wichita?
Yeah. So I'm sure.
I have no idea.
Boeing?
which one is-
Oh,
Colt, I think is how they pronounce it. What is the
Oh,
first time home buyer, 3-bed, 2-bathroom house in Wichita, Kansas going for right?
120, 150.
I would say that's anything like. Stephen, like,
110,000. And guess how much we give in the WISH program, even if you're in Wichita?
50, oh, wish.
Oh,
this
stop.
30,800.
30,800. If you live in Wichita, Kansas, we give you 30% of the purchase price of your house.
So who wants to start a referral partnership in Kansas?
Yeah, go, they got pickup trucks there too.
It is a great place to live. It's very affordable. There's good houses or good jobs there, but it doesn't matter. If you're, remember, just if you're putting down you're getting 30,800, you're putting $7,700 down. So that's 37, you're basically financing $60,000. 2 kids, minimum wage, who work at the local Circle K in Wichita, Kansas, to
Wow.
buy a house.
Right, history is.
What's that? Yeah, you do have to deal with tornadoes.
Yeah.
Actually, I think this is CH, I think it's Coke. But anyway,
I was gonna say, yeah, it's not cold.
no, I think
I think
it's good. Pronounce it Coke.
it's sold out.
Huge, there's 2 brothers, they're multi billion.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're huge. But Wichita, I mean, literally, first time home buyers making minimum wage, they can do that. It's amazing. Now, with the MDPA here in Arizona, that'll help, but it's still not gonna be anywhere near. So where do you buy in Arizona? In fact, I'm gonna turn, earlier we talked about how I have hobbies on the side. I'm gonna give you guys one line before we go to expired listings. I'm gonna really help you guys get excited about being, how many of you guys are real estate investors?
They will be here soon.
How many of you know how many times you can split a piece of land without having to go to the city? For approval? 5. I just heard it. I thought I said 5. Yeah, 5. Do you guys know that? So you can buy a 10-acre parcel in Coolidge for about 100 grand. You're going, yeah, but it's Coolidge. Which I happen to agree with. I wouldn't want to live in Coolidge. But if you're a telecommuter, does it matter where you live? No, okay, but you're a real estate investor. You're gonna split this 10-acre parcel into 4 1.25-acre parcels. And you're gonna sell the 5 acres. What do you think you can sell the 5 acres for?
At least 50.
No, way more,
75.
about $75,000. Why? Because this is splittable into 5 1-acre lots. Now, why do you not want the 5-acre? When it comes to financing, a shared well agreement can only be done with 4 or less properties. So you're gonna come in on this 10-acre, turn yours into 4 1.25 acres. You're gonna have to bring in power. You have to put in septic. And you're gonna drill a well. So power, and now we're into our 4 lots. Because we sold it for 75 after costs, let's just say we netted 65,000 of that, so we're into our 4 lots of 35,000. So divide that by 4, that's what, 8, let's just round it up and say you're at $8,500 a month. Power and septic are going to run you about $20,000 a lot, so now you're at $28,500. And the well's the most expensive, that's gonna run you about 60 grand, so by 4 lots, that's well, 5. 15. All right, 15. You're into your lots, 43,500. How many of you guys know what modular homes? Do you know how long it takes to have one built? 60 days. So you can get a 1,500 square foot modular home for about $225.
Can we just put on it?
Get it?
Possible. Even.
So 268.5. You know what these houses are selling for right now in Coolidge?
Oh,
About 300,000. You want to move them quick. So not a ton of profit, but you got a listing, and you're gonna make about $20,000. But most importantly, you have a product that you can now take your buyers to. Now, you may have to say, instead of going all the way out south, what's some towns close by here that are still cheap to buy big trucks of dirt?
yeah, we got anything north, so Black Canyon City and south, right? And all the places on both sides. We have Buckeye, Tonopah.
North of Meyer.
Whitman's a big one.
That's more expensive.
So finding, this is your sweet spot. You want to find 10 acres that you can buy for 100,000. And the guys you're going to buy it from, just to get, you guys realize that this is what a ton of land brokers do. They start out with something that was 10,000 acres. They break it up into 5 parcels. They sell it off to someone else. Those guys break it up to 5, 5, 5, 5. Those are the guys you want to get in bed. So now you can create your own inventory. How many people would have more buyers if you had $300,000 brand new homes?
Yeah.
And how are you doing it with the big builders aren't?
No, effect.
You have no impact fee. That's $20,000 more. If you had to throw $20,000 more on here, would you do it?
No.
No, you wouldn't make enough money. You can do what the big builders can't, because they have to do huge, huge amounts of inventory. You make it small, and you create something that nobody else can create. So, create your own inventory. Get your own group. Now, we gotta be careful. What's the rule when you're flipping this 5 acres? Not supposed to be to friends and family. So you guys gotta rotate around so they don't come in and claim that you guys are breaking rules. Right, but completely doable. How many of you guys are gonna go find some acres? Fine.
And I feel like our land searches are gonna go up.
But you're gonna buy with this, it's mostly not land search. So the guy I deal with is a guy named Clyde Lawton. Because Clyde, way back in the day, Clyde is a land banker who likes to buy stuff and sit on it for 25 years. I'm giving him $100,000 for 10 acres. Guess what he bought those 10 acres for? $1,500.
Yeah.
He's been sitting on them forever. He doesn't care. He thinks he's ripping me off. So I know Clyde doesn't ever list it. If you don't know Clyde, you can't buy it. Now, I think he does have some stuff out on the west side. I know he's got, is it Tullison? That's out? Tonopah, that's the one, Tonopah, thank you. He's got Tonopah, and if you want to go really extreme, I know he's got a ton out in Dayton. But if you can't afford, but you're a telecommuter, you just want to be close enough to where if you want to go visit friends and family, you're not driving 6 hours, or you're not going all the way to Wichita, Kansas. Create your own stuff. You guys are in the real estate business, you should be real estate investors, you should be looking at building, can you get financing for construction? We do investment in construction all the time. There's plenty of opportunities out there. Leverage what you do. Look for those deals, share the deals individually. You'd be amazed, like if somebody had a $300,000 listing today in Arizona, and they've got to come in with their 10,000, and we give them 50,000. What do they not have? Mortgage insurance, because 60,000 is 20% of 300,000. How much is mortgage insurance? Usually about a point. So you had a 7% rate, it's really like having an 8. Now it's back down to having a real 7. And when you get noticed, the person who does this, you'll have more buyers than you ever dreamed possible. You might go up to 325. And that extra 25,000 profits is huge for guys who most of it, right? That's like what, another 7% commissions. Huge. All right, so listing script. How many of you guys?
I know.
How many of you guys work expireds? What do you guys currently?
I don't know for
I think door knock is the only way to get.
them.
When you make a phone call, what are you?
You could be a VA.
Yeah, they're going to hate when you phone up. By the way, when you knock the door, do they like you?
They're not terrible. I mean, that's why I do it, because I can actually see them face to face. So if they're not gonna do anything, they just.
So how do you break the ice?
I just talk about, maybe you've had it on the market before, what happened to the situation? Yeah. Why did you decide, why did you decline, these things? And the problem that I'm seeing now is, you know, people, if they've had it on the market, they're looking at the market still, they're seeing that houses aren't moving as fast. So if their house didn't move, they're deciding that, well, why would I list it again?
Are you doing that at the door or are you getting it signed?
We are not having, well, when I bring it up, you know, why did it happen? They'll give me all of this kind of stuff. And I'll say, well, I don't really know what happened in your situation. You know, maybe sit down and talk about it.
Okay. What do you do?
I make phone calls, I send letters.
How do you get their attention on the letter?
I'm very personal, I handwrite notes. I first I do a lot of background stuff, so I can know what's going on. But I keep them on the phone at all, and get a few little niches before they get mad or they wanna leave. That I'll include that into the personalized letter, and I get that out as fast as possible. And then I go back and dig a little deeper, get into their Facebook feeds and such like that, but grass is very cumbersome thing in that way.
So I'm gonna only add one thing we do, but I love some of the ideas, because I always believe that the more you know about a person, before you show up, the better. So Facebook stalking is fantastic. Looking to see why it didn't sell. You've got to have your elevator pitch to get their attention. So for example, if I'm gonna do some of what Alex was talking about, where it wasn't staged properly, or the price was too high, like, can you show up at their doorstep and say, hey, I can sell your house, I just can't get what you thought it was worth, it's worth $50,000 less, do you make it past the front door? Okay, so what about if I touch this screen? Now, this takes a little bit of faith. And I'm gonna ask you, like, if you were to go online today and buy a listing lead, what's it cost?
Up the lead.
Yeah, you're buying somebody who wants to talk about a listing. Zillow, what's Zillow charge you for a listing? Well, now they charge 20%, close, right? Or 30, 40? What do they charge you from?
Like actual seller lead, let's just call it like $15, right? But again, we don't know if they gave the right phone number, we don't know if we're actually gonna get
$15.
Yes.
So again, I'm speaking as the money guy in my house. If you shut up at my doorstep with the phone. Hey, Mr. Bowlby, I know you probably already got 50 phone calls today, if not 100. I'm sure you're sick and tired of real estate, that you just had a bad experience, your house didn't sell. I would like to talk to you about why your house didn't sell, but before I do, I want to buy your time. I know your time is valuable. So here's a $50 gift card. Take your wife out to dinner on me. I want to buy 15 minutes of your time. So I'm saying your time is worth $200 an hour. That's an acceptable number to me. For $200 an hour, I will give you 15 minutes.
You do that at the door?
Absolutely. Because I have a firm belief that if I get 10 people who talk to me, one of them is going to say yes. Would you pay $500 for a listing? Everybody said it should be done. Because what are you going to make on this? Average.
No, at least 10,000.
At least 10,000, okay, but that doesn't count if you hold up at houses and you find buyers. Right, listings bring buyers. So I'm gonna, the way I get in, I'm gonna buy it. Why not? I buy a lead online, why not just give it straight to the customer? Whether you use me or not. Here's $50. If I did that to you, would you give me 15 minutes?
Yes.
Try it out, you'd be amazed how people did. I used to do this on the way home from work. Except for I did it with new listings because I don't sell houses, I do mortgages. So what I used to do is I would show up at their house, I had a $50 gift card, and I had a thing that would say, here's a bunch of information about FICO scores. Because FICO scores matter. Difference in a 780 FICO score and a 720 is 0.5% of interest. So you think you have good credit if you have a 720, and the reality is the new 720 is 780 today. So let's make sure you have the highest possible FICO score. I used to have a program called PYT, and I tell them all about that and say, if your agent doesn't know it, have them call me. And this $50 is just so when you go to buy your new house, I get the opportunity to bid on your mortgage. Not that you have to use me, I just want the chance that I get to bid. You're gonna go to me, you're gonna go to 3, 4, 5, 10 other banks, I just get a chance to bid, is that fair? I was never once told no. Why? I've never met a person who didn't like money. Not one. Now, when I was working on it, I stopped and got, has anyone ever heard of the company called Busy Kid? No? How many of you guys have young kids at home? Busy Kid. It's the best thing ever created. So Busy Kid is a place where you teach young children about money. It's like my kids, I have chores at home. How many of you guys pay your kids for chores? My kids try to sucker me. They just always try to get free money. Well, I have posted on my Busy Kid account. Here's what needs to be done. Here's the price. They claim it. Then through Busy Kid, they have to go back in and they have to say that it was done. Then I know to go ahead and spend. If it's done, I click a button, money goes into the Busy Kid account. Here's what's great about Busy Kid for me. Busy Kid allows me to control it. So I deposit, let's just say with a $100 job they have to. $100 goes in. 10% of it, they have to spend on charity. If you pick their favorite charities, they have to give away 10%. 50% has to go into their savings. And they're allowed to spend 40. So out of the $100, they only get $40. But as a kid, they can buy partial stocks. It doesn't cost anything to buy, but anytime you sell your stock, it costs you $1 to sell. So like take, for example, we're big basketball people in my family. So does anyone remember what happened to Zion Williams, like the very end of his college career? Yeah. More importantly, what made Nike stock drop? He blew out the shoe.
That's right.
He stepped, that shoe tore in half. He was too big, too strong, too heavy. Tore it. Guess what? Every one of my kids did that very next day. They got up, they were on their phones, they were looking at their stock, and they're like, Dad, we're dumping everything, we're buying Nike. Nike dropped, and how long before it went back up? About a week. My kids doubled their money. So I got my kids paying attention to Busy Kid. Now, what I'm trying to negotiate, haven't been able to get yet, Busy Kid's also partnered up with the bank, but what I'm trying to get is where they will create business cards that are prepaid visas. How many of you would like to hand out a $50 gift card, but it was your Keller Williams card? And what if you could tell people, anytime you have somebody call me that's thinking about buying or selling their house, I'll put another $50 on. Would you pay $50 to have a referral? Not a lead, but a referral. It's a referral worth $50.
Does that exist?
No, well, it exists, but I haven't been able to beat them down. So right now, they will only do it if you order at least 10,000 cards. If they can get it down to 100.
I don't, yeah. I don't think we're allowed to pay for these.
Well, no,
You can pay for leads.
can't pay for.
And like, if someone sends me a referral, I can't send them money.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can.
Can you send them movie tickets? So get in touch with your loan officer because we can give money. But
That is true.
That's.
Yeah, you have to travel.
and by the way, you guys can become loan officers with me, and you guys can give out money from your loan officers,
There you go. I mean,
right? Yeah, we can pay we can give anything we want to a consumer. Now, I can't give it to you. Right? They have rules about me giving you stuff. But we have a program that gets around that where we pay you for mortgages. But aside from that, I can give a consumer anything I want. But I pay $50 for a referral all day long. Now, I haven't been able to get to a business card. I can't wait till I have. What do you think is going to happen eventually with those business cards? That are Visa cards. Can you imagine when they hand it out to a waiter or a waitress to pay for the dinner? And it's your business card, and they've never seen anything like that before. What are they gonna do?
look you up.
Oh, they're gonna at least ask, like, never seen this card before. Oh, that's my agent. Every time I send my agent something, they send me $50. What? How do I meet your agent? I got friends. Build a referral network. So so you can't pay up if you're going into listing and say, I'll give you $50 just to be able to pitch. You can't do that. Wow. Did not know.
Now, I mean, we can spin it though and say that you do, yeah, we can't use damage hands. And any kind of value for the referral. We just use the gift cards and stuff.
Well, that would be a referral. That's paying the customer to talk to you. You're going directly to the customer you want. Is he not in there?
Yeah, he's in
You can't do like a raffle or drawing either.
No, you cannot do a route,
Can't do that.
you cannot do a game of chance to collect.
Yeah, this isn't give a chance. This is, I'm paying you just to have someone come, if they just call.
Yeah, they answer the door, give me 15 minutes, and I'll give you the $50.
And I'm paying it up front.
Yeah.
Here's $50, whether you use me or not.
You can't send me a for everything.
Can I do- The old man at the front door. Who now has heard every scam in the world, and now you're just handing me a card, and all of a sudden, you know, I would tell my mother-in-law, no, don't you dare take that card. I
Which, by the way, the hardest thing in the world, believe it or not, is to give away free money.
yeah, yeah.
So I agree with you. So push back. Be the old man, push back.
I don't want that. You're just trying to scam me. No, I don't want that. Go away.
So I completely understand your thing, but I'll tell you what. Just know it's always there if you want it. And what I'm trying to buy is your time. Your time is valuable. I'm offering to pay you for your time. This is if you went to work for an employer. I want to pitch you. I know you don't want to be pitched, but can I pitch you either way? Because I went and researched your house before I came over. I already know I can sell. And I'd like to show you how I'm gonna sell it, get you what you want and how we're gonna go about doing it. It's gonna take 15 minutes. So if you want me to do it for free, I love saving $50.
Look at twist that, just want that. Tell you what, I'll give it to you at the end. You know, I'm still gonna give it to you, because I want to treat you the. Donald's, $50.
That didn't go very far. What, correct? You buy dinner, cook at home. Yeah, $50 doesn't go very far, but it gets you in the door. And you're acknowledging, I think your time is valuable. Because if you knock on my door, in fact, I did this once, and I've only ever bought one. Have you guys ever had the encyclopedia guy, or not, magazine guys come to your door? You guys ever had that? They're almost all ex-druggies, they live in halfway homes, they come over. I don't like being sold at home. And I had this one kid came by, he was funny as hell, which is the only reason why I continued talking to him. I said, look, when I'm at home, I'm here to relax with my family. I only do business at my office. Here's my card. If you will show up at my office tomorrow, I'll buy a magazine from you. But I'm never doing business at my home. That kid showed up the next day, I bought 3 magazines. He never read a one. Right, just put them in the front reception area. But I did it because he respected the fact that I was clear. He did keep pushing after that. He was like, sir, I get that. I'll be at your office tomorrow. I said, I hope you do. He showed up. And I bought just because he did what he said. And he left me alone. Now, if he had offered me $50 to sit down and talk, now I wouldn't let him in my house, but we'd have a little outside sitting area. I sat down and talked. For $50, I'll listen. Now, my wife's the complete opposite. You offer her $50 to listen, she won't pay. Why? She doesn't care about the finances. She got a sugar daddy. She doesn't care. And I hate to say it, but
I'm not
she,
calling you to stay, man.
she literally doesn't. Like, my wife hasn't worked a day since she met me. Now, I don't want her to. I love the fact that she was able to stay home and raise our children. Even take today. Today we were killing the dog. It was a rough day. They're all sitting on the floor and giving each other hugs, and I'm the cold, hard bastard sitting on the top going, this is taking too much. I gotta get out here. She has to deal with us. So we're a great yin and yang. But to my wife, $50 wouldn't get her. It does make it. That's how you get my attention. So start with that. Know your product when you're going in. You can't know, let me get back to you. Let me come back. I'd like to come back. You got your time right now. You got your 15 minutes of fame. Know why it did sell, know how it's going to sell, and educate them and leave them something about it.
I love that. All right, guys, I think we have literally, we're all kind of fogged over. So you know my rules, I want to stand up and just a huge applause for these 2 guys who've been helping us do all the things that we do always, 1, 2, 3. That's fun. I feel like lately we've been learning a lot of different stuff in the office. So we're gonna end, I'm gonna have Chad come up. Chad's been doing some stuff with us. He's with homes.com. You guys have not sat down with him yet.
When do you guys bring back your rental?
We still have.
I used to buy 10,000 a month.
It's different format now.
Okay.
Yeah, totally different. So
I
we
used
don't
to
sell
buy for
these.
years. Oh, you don't, oh, that's.
Yeah, anymore. So, yeah, I'll give a little background. So CoStar Group bought Homes.com 2 years ago. And so we completely changed the format. The only thing it pays is the name. and the URL. So we call it your listing, your lead. So the leads go directly to the listing agents on rentals or on, any listings that you do have, as well as on your agent profile. So one new thing, that we have, I can answer your questions.
Go.
Um,
I'm curious, because I love your guys' programs.
Yeah.
I've used you guys for, gosh, 10 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm gonna go sit next to that. I want to learn.
Sure. So, yeah, I know everyone's been sitting for a while, so I won't take much of your time. I know most of you. My name's Chad Wilcox. Work for the CoStar Group. I am the KWHomes.com rep. I know we were talking about listings, moving listings. If anyone is interested in the increased exposure that we offer on the membership, happy to do a one-on-one. Rachel has my information. She can get you in touch with me. The pricing for the membership is less than you would probably think. It's based on production over the last 3 years from the MLS, so I'm happy to discuss that with you individually if you want to. At the very least, I want to encourage everybody to claim your profile as an agent if you haven't done so already. You can go on homes.com in the top right, click register or sign in. There's a registration for an agent, right? If your profile is claimed already, you just reset your password. If you have any leads that come in on your listing or agent profile, that is your lead and your lead alone, whether you're a member or not. So at the very least, claim your profile. Your clients are going to be on homes.com. We're number 2 in traffic right now. We just crossed over 160 million monthly unique visitors. So we're chasing down Zillow. And we're double realtor.com, triple Redfin traffic. So if you've seen the commercials, we're running that through this year and beyond, spending $1 billion. So your clients are going to be on homes.com. So any questions you have, reach out to Rachel, reach out to myself. One update, we recently acquired Matterport. So I was speaking to Kevin and Sabrina earlier about that. So coming soon, any homes.com members, their listings are going to get free Matterports on their listings.
What if I own a camera though?
We'll find out more details. I'll keep you updated on how that works, but we're working on putting a team together with Matterport. But any homes.com members, their listings get promoted automatically already, whether you have 1 listing or 10. So it's not a per listing fee. But that Matterport news since the last time it's here is a new update, and we're pretty excited about it. So any of you that have used Matterport in the past, we use it on a lot of our commercial advertisements on LoopNet, right? It's pretty powerful stuff, so we're excited about that update. But again, I'll be around. I think we have a couple events coming up that I'm going to be participating in, going into more details about the membership. But thanks for having me. And any questions, ask Rachel, and she has my contact info. So
Thank you, Chad. We appreciate you, man. And Matterport huge, like, remember, we have the best referral network ever with PW. So what would a Matterport be used for? That would be super beneficial. Anyone know what it is? Okay. Matterport is a 3D mapping of your home. It's interactive. You can measure walls. You can look at different types of dollhouse views, floor plans. You can walk through it as if you're walking through a home. Literally, as many times as you want. You can turn around, you do all the things. So it is a virtual tour of a home that's completely interactive. Okay, you can write in, like a seller can put in, or a seller's agent can put in all the upgrades. When, how, it's a super interactive piece. So for all of our out-of-state buyers, this is that piece to push. Okay, so if you're running ads and stuff like that out of state, I would have a Matterport link attached to it. Okay, I'm gonna set you guys off. I'm done. You're done. Gonna go make calls. We're gonna get to business. Did everybody see my video for this coming up month?
Yep. Andrew Luke's.
The one that wants to the most ridiculous thing ever. Okay, reminder that we have headshots coming up. Okay, we have the recession proof business with Charles Richardson, and we will do featuring script off or dialogue that we'll come up with a fun name at the end of each month. Okay, So bring your objections, we'll, you know, next time we'll have to be like another big drum pounding thing, but this was like, really go into something interesting. No, fine, we don't know, girl. That's why we have to show up to the office. Period, so, okay.
Anything you can put in.
You know, I don't.
That should be done.
Right now.
For the win.
I do.
And we'll call you back in a minute, so she can-
This is how we talk about, but my last
I
name.
always say that he's smart.
My actual.
Rachel, what's your pin?
1024.
So I've already committed to it.
Which one?
You have to like put in your pin every time.
It only started. Question was, we can't do game of chance as agents, but
You can give the same thing to everybody.
yes.
No.
The other question.
Can do the same thing to everybody.
You can't give the same
So
thing to
you
everybody.
walk up to an expired, you go, I have a $50 gift card, you could give me $15, or 15 minutes of your time right now.
Yeah, as long as you do it to everybody. It's not
Yeah,
a,
you
it's
go
not a
off.
lottery, right?
What if you're only offering it to expired, like that's part of your.
The people that you're talking to.
Yes.
So
Like
regardless
in an
of the
email, if you just send it to 50 people, you
Perfect.
know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's got
If
clarified.
you only talk to one person.
Then that's fine, right?
What if?
That
we
got
have-
clarified with the whole 72 sold, paid off somebody's boat in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago.
Okay, so what if we have, like, people are giving us referrals and bringing
Can't give anybody money.
gift cards?
So.
You can't pay for a bird dog fee anyway.
And I always say until you sit down, so.
See, that's where we got stuck. We knew there was something around it.
They have to have a license.
Yeah.
Anything, any conversations tied to the sale of real estate. has to be
We
through a
take
license.
care of it.
Well, then why can we give the expired?
You're not giving them for the sale of a house.
All here.
You're just giving it
For the opportunity to
An
talk.
opportunity to talk to them.
So we can give a gift
So
card if
financing
someone
type.
gets me a permit.
Okay. Can't be tied to, I mean, it can't be random, it can't be a lot.
MLS.
Yeah, no, but if they, like I say, like, hey, if you send me somebody that is thinking now.
And that's just in search, right?
No, not for like.
Under
not-
search, and then you got it.
That's the actual. Now,
Can't
so,
pay a PC, a little license PC.
yeah,
Aubrey.
But I can
For-
forward
for-
me cards, right?
But whatever you do on your own is on your own, right?
Listings.
we're just trying to
can't be
find,
tied to-
not
Okay,
local,
cool.
but we're
Trying to
yeah,
know where
we're
it
trying to find
Yeah,
it.
you can't
There you go.
In monsoon.
But
just-
they have their-
Monsoon, and then look at the one.
Can't advertise.
So MLS. Our
Because
listing
they
status.
do anything they
Right.
want to, anything. right? They
Finance
just
type
can't,
was definition was, right? Because
So,
we're
but
looking
if
for
we
something
remember,
that
like,
you
hey, for every
Okay.
business you do.
And,
Questions for
Rachel Van Cleave, you know. where
it's
the-
a channel, right?
Or-
I want to ask about the LO thing, advertiser done.
What square footage are you looking for? The square footage will be important.
That's what I'm saying. That's
Okay.
gonna be, they're gonna be.
Yeah.
This is a one, two, one. I know that. Well, they want a 4-4-3. So 4-3 is gonna be at least 20.
Yeah.
and more.
I would probably, yeah.
No, everybody's trying to. Although I would argue that nobody's after the 0.5%. They're after the 2.5 or 3 on the